There was a man who learned a profound lesson. Even a small axe can fell a mighty oak if you swing it long enough. Just as constant dripping water can carve a hole in stone, persistent knocking will open any door. So keep knocking, open sesame, keep at it, and the door will eventually open. A silver-haired teenage girl pounded excitedly on the door, calling out for her father. "I know you're in there," she shouted, her face flushing crimson. This was Ariel Sauvignon. She called out for a while, but there was no response from inside the room. Ariel grew increasingly agitated. If only she were taller, she thought, she could easily reach the handle and let herself in. The feeling of helplessness and frustration gnawed at her, and she couldn't help but resent the fact that she was back in this childlike form. Due to certain events, she had been reborn into her younger self. Ariel tried again. Pressing her ear against the door, she murmured, "Father, can you hear me? Please open the door, Father." At this moment, Ariel had only one wish, for her father to emerge from the room. Because if he didn't wake up, she would meet the same tragic end as in her previous life. Back in her past life, inside the room, only the soft breaths of a young woman could be heard. Ariel was still deep in slumber. Suddenly, a young man with distinctly silver peak features appeared outside, calling out, "Wake up, Princess Sauvignon." Ariel slowly stirred from her sleep, recognizing the crown prince of the Beloidan Empire standing before her. The crown prince, Walorian, approached the bed and gently helped Ariel up. "You must leave the palace now," he said, giving her no chance to question him. He practically dragged her away. Under the clear night sky, Walorian led Ariel away from the palace. 1,000 questions swirled in her mind. She couldn't understand how things had come to this. Knowing Walorian's character, Ariel had expected him to push her into a fountain or lock her in a closet, as he had done before. Moments later, Ariel's face darkened as she realized Walorian was leading her towards the entrance of the palace auditorium. This was a place steeped in royal malice. Walorian, without turning back to look at her, said coldly, "I'll only say this once, so listen carefully. There's a secret passage under the piano stool. Once you're inside, don't turn back. Go straight, and you'll be able to leave the palace before dawn." Confused, Ariel asked, "Why do I have to leave the palace?" The question seemed to momentarily stump Walorian. His hand, gripping hers, trembled as if he were deeply agitated. After a few seconds, he looked at her with intense eyes and said, "If you don't leave, you'll die." At the word die, Ariel's face paled. Walorian began to explain. 2 weeks ago, the eastern side of the barrier had been torn open. Duke Sauvignon had been unable to stop the monstrous creatures that poured through, and ultimately, half of the north had been overrun. These monstrous creatures were the spawn of the Dark God. Once the land was shrouded in darkness, if the purification ritual wasn't performed in time, a deadly toxin would be released. The toxin would seep into the soil, killing the plants, then the herbivores, then the carnivores, and finally, the humans. The news was a blow to Ariel. Distraught, she asked Walorian, "Is my father safe?" Walorian, quickening his pace as he led her away, replied, "We've lost contact with Sauvignon Castle for days." When she asked about the troops stationed in the north, Walorian revealed that no reinforcements had been sent because the royal family intended to abandon the north. Then, he told Ariel the worst possible outcome. The emperor would blame Duke Sauvignon for failing to protect his territory. In truth, Ariel understood that the blight was merely a pretext. The emperor sought to exploit this opportunity to eliminate Sogren, a thorn in his side. When the current emperor ascended the throne and initiated his brutal purge, Herwin Salgrain was the sole surviving member of the royal family. The reason for Salgrain's survival was clear. Herwin possessed the dual lineage of both royal blood and the Salgrain family. The 4 meritorious families, including the Salgrains, guardians of the barrier, had sworn an oath alongside the very first emperor who founded Beloidan, an oath taken in the name of Shay. This oath was known as the Pledge of Protection for the royal family, ensuring that no harm would befall the bloodlines of the 4 meritorious families. Nor could the 4 meritorious families harm the royal bloodline. Only one circumstance permitted the breaking of this sacred oath: the failure of a family to fulfill its duty as a vassal house. Ariel was certain the emperor wouldn't let this opportunity slip through his fingers. Watching Walranians retreating back, a whirlwind of thoughts churned within Ariel. Her question caused Walranian to abruptly halt. "Why are you helping me? Don't you hate me?" Under the cloak of night, Ivriel's eyes shimmered like twin moons, allowing Wolranian only the briefest of glances. Regaining his composure, he turned away, refusing to meet her gaze. Just as Wolranian's hand grasped the doorknob, he answered Ivriel's question. I have never hated you. Astonishment rippled through Ivriel, prompting a desire to delve deeper. But the door swung open, revealing the palace corridor. At that moment, Ivriel's mind was elsewhere. Her attention was captivated by the aura emanating from the statue of the goddess Shay. Gazing at the statue, she wondered, did the goddess Shay's statue always bear such a serene smile? Just then, a chilling voice shattered the silence, startling both Wolranian and Ivriel. It seems the two of you aren't here to pray. From the shadows, a sinister smile slowly materialized. Good evening, princess. The voice belonged to the current emperor. His presence radiated an oppressive aura. Before either Wolranian or Ivriel could speak, the emperor turned to Ivriel, his voice laced with malice. To think you would believe my son's words and travel all this way. You truly are naive, princess. Wolranian stepped forward, shielding Ivriel, and met the emperor's gaze with defiance. Who are you calling your son? Before I tear that convenient mouth of yours to shreds, don't you dare speak such nonsense to the princess. Wolranian's voice boomed, causing the very air to tremble. Suddenly, Wolranian sensed the aura emanating from beneath the emperor's feet. The young man's face contorted in fury. Gripping Ivriel's hand, he roared, "What do you think you're doing?" The emperor unleashed a surge of dark magic, immobilizing Ivriel, rendering her helpless. Even Wolranian found himself bound by the oppressive magic. The emperor drew his sword, addressing the pair before him. You've been in the palace for 5 years now, haven't you? Knowing the emperor intended to harm Ivriel, panic seized Wolranian. What are you going to do? The emperor's face twisted into a cruel smile. It's time to return her to my brother. Gazing at the sharp blade in the emperor's hand, terror gripped Ivriel. She desperately wanted to avoid dying by that sword. Moments later, the emperor swung his sword with brutal force towards Ivriel. It won't hurt. Your father, who went before you, is waiting. Blood splattered across the palace floor as the emperor's blade pierced Ivriel's body. Before she could even react, she collapsed. In her final moments, a single tear of anguish traced a path down Ivriel's cheek. Is this how I die? She thought, gazing at the statue of the goddess, a cruel smile twisting her lips. Ivriel mocked her own reflection. Why are you smiling? Can't you see how pitiful I am, about to die? The bitter truth clawed at her. If her father held more power, she wouldn't be facing such a meaningless end. A sudden oblivion claimed her. Then, her eyes flickered open, and Ivriel found her ailing father standing before her. Ignoring Ivriel's bewildered state, Duke Sogren demanded sternly, "What are you doing here at this hour? I told you, even if the door is open, you are not to enter my room without permission, didn't I?" Duke Sogren's voice was devoid of warmth. Seeing her deceased father before her, Ariel's eyes welled with tears. Was this some deathbed hallucination? Unbidden, the words tumbled from her lips. Is it really you, father? Seeing his daughter's tears, a flicker of concern crossed Duke Sogren's face. What's wrong? Was I too harsh? He asked. As he spoke, Ivriel cried out, her voice thick with emotion. What if father dies? Ivriel's words startled Duke Sogren. He couldn't fathom what his daughter had experienced to provoke such a desperate outburst. Suddenly, Ivriel rushed towards him. Clinging tightly to him, she sobbed, "I miss you so much, father." For a moment, Sogren's stern facade softened at his daughter's heartbreaking display. He pressed his lips together, fighting back the unexpected surge of tenderness. Ringing for a maid, he regained his composure and said sternly, "You're here about the tutor again, aren't you? Even so, you can't just, because what you need most right now isn't me, but a tutor." The words struck a chord within Ariel. She'd heard them before. Duke Sogren continued his explanation. Lady Tilly Lean will be arriving at the castle soon, and if we delay any further. Before he could finish, Ariel, drawing on a buried memory, completed his sentence. It will be difficult to find another tutor, right? Now she was certain. He had said these words to her before. Suddenly, Ariel's gaze shifted. She noticed the banner hanging loosely on the wall, the snow deer of Sogren. The banner confirmed it. This was Sogren, her father's room in the ducal castle. Just then, a knock echoed from the door, and a kindly maid entered, bowing respectfully to the Duke. "Excuse me, Your Grace, I've come to retrieve the young miss." Ariel instantly recognized the maid as Lily. Lily had returned to her parents' home when Ariel was 6, so she couldn't possibly be here in the north. The unfolding events filled Ariel with a growing unease. Could this truly be the afterlife? The Duke instructed Lily to take Ariel back to her room. Without hesitation, Lily scooped Ariel into her arms, preventing any further outbursts. Then we shall take our leave. As Lily carried Ariel away, Duke Soberon's room fell silent. Lily's voice, laced with concern, broke the silence. "Miss, why did you suddenly disappear while I was preparing your bath?" Seeing the young Mrs. Sullen's silence, Lily assumed she was upset about the impending arrival of the tutor. But that wasn't it. Ariel was lost in thought, grappling with the strangeness of the situation. Unaware of her young mistress's inner turmoil, Lily continued to soothe her, praising Tillion's virtues as a teacher as she led Ariel back to her room. The moment the door opened, Ariel's eyes landed on the object resting on the table. It was a teddy bear. It was Snowberry, the teddy bear Lily had made for her 5th birthday. Coupled with the earlier events, a chilling realization began to dawn on Ariel. Something was profoundly wrong. She ran to the mirror. When she saw herself in the mirror tucked in the corner of the room, the innocent young Ariel Sauvignon, trembling all over, couldn't believe her eyes. She had transformed from a teenager into a small child, barely reaching an adult's waist. Ariel, her voice shaking, turned to Lily and asked, "Am I 5 years old now?" Lily replied excitedly, "Yes, Mississippi, happy 5th birthday." These words caused Ariel's face to darken. A moment later, the Duke's castle echoed with her screams, a child unable to process the reality of her situation. As Lily prepared Ariel's bath and began to wash her, the maid noticed a scar on the young girl's body with a gasp. "Miss," she asked, her voice laced with concern, "were you injured here?" Ariel didn't understand what Lily was talking about. She immediately looked back at the spot the maid indicated and saw a blade-like scar across her collarbone. It was clearly the Emperor's doing, a wound left by his sword. Seeing Ariel's confused expression, Lily asked worriedly, "Miss, don't you remember how you got hurt? Such a deep wound. It must have been so painful." Inwardly, Ariel agreed. She had felt the searing pain as the Emperor's sword struck her. Her vision had blurred, and she had sunk into oblivion. Although Ariel wanted to tell Lily what she remembered, she couldn't let the maid suspect she had returned to the past. No one would believe her. Besides, to say she had died at the Emperor's hand would be tantamount to slandering the royal family. In any case, Ariel had no idea how she had been sent back in time. But one thing she knew for certain. When she turned 14, House Sauvignon would be destroyed and the Emperor would kill her. Ariel believed this was a second chance granted by the gods, a chance she was determined to seize. Lily watched, speechless, as her young mistress stood before the mirror, a look of fierce determination on her small face. She couldn't understand why Ariel was acting so strangely. As Lily brushed Ariel's hair, Ariel tried to calmly assess her situation. She was just a child, powerless. The only way to survive was to help her father regain his power and influence, so the Emperor could no longer act with impunity. That was all Ariel could think of for now. But the problem was that Duke Soberon was too weak. Thinking about it, Ariel realized the reason her father had no foundation for victory was his failing health. Suddenly, she jumped down from the chair and walked to the window, gazing at the view outside. There, shimmering between the peaks of the Kemal Mountains, was the barrier. It wasn't a meteorological phenomenon, but a magical seal containing the powerful monsters lurking below. It was the only thing holding them back. If the barrier were damaged, the entire territory would be utterly destroyed. If Soberon couldn't protect the barrier, he would have to pay the price for that failure. Lily, observing her mistress, privately speculated that the Emperor's plan to overthrow the Sauvignon family likely included the barrier's destruction. Ariel was determined not to endure her fate helplessly, waiting for her and her father's deaths as she had in her previous life. If she wanted to restore the Duke's authority and prepare for the future, she had to find a way to cure her father's illness. After a few moments of silent calculation, Ariel finally made up her mind. From now on, her top priority would be her father's health. After Lily finished preparing Ariel, she led her to the dining room. "Please sit here, Mississippi." As Ariel sat down at the table, she immediately noticed the simplicity of the meal. She wondered if her father ate such meager fare as well. Just then, the nearby chef explained with a troubled expression, "Although it's not much, I've prepared the best I could." Seeing Alex's concern, Ariel enthusiastically expressed herself. "Is something wrong with the cake?" "It's beautiful. Thank you. Alex, you're the best. Witnessing the young lady praise his creation so highly, Chef Alex was immediately moved to tears. Ariel understood. It wasn't the chef's lack of skill, but their strained finances that forced them to cut back on cooking fuel. After a moment, Lily cheerfully prompted, "Miss, blow out the candles." Ariel leaned her small frame towards the birthday cake and puffed out her cheeks, extinguishing the flickering flames. She couldn't believe she was back, celebrating her 5th birthday, surrounded by loved ones. She told herself to savor this moment. It was her 5th birthday, and there wouldn't be another. Ariel's birthday was October 27th. Today was October 27th, 147th year of the Beloitan calendar. This date reminded Ariel of something. She was soon to leave for the royal palace with her tutor. She remembered her father's words, "Because the person you need most right now isn't me, but your tutor." Tears welled in Ariel's eyes. She silently cursed her father for being a clueless fool. The person she needed most always was him. Having lived 2 lives, Ariel knew that in this world, the only person who would truly care for her, who would always have her best interests at heart, was her father. Remembering what her tutor had done in her past life, Ariel resolved to prevent the tutor from ever setting foot in the castle. Turning to Lily, she pleaded, "Lily, you're my nanny, right?" Lily, the maid, patiently smiled and replied, "Yes, miss, I am your nanny." Ariel calmly continued, "No matter what happens, you'll be on my side, right?" Lily immediately affirmed, "Of course, Mississippi. I'm on your side. So, no matter what I ask, you'll do it, right?" "Of course." Lily agreed with a nod. Feeling her goal within reach, Ariel asked again with a sly smile, "Anything at all?" A biting winter chill permeated the Duke's room in the northern territories of the Sogren estate. The only sound in the stillness was his labored breathing. The cold had weakened him considerably. Just as he reached for the bell to summon a physician, a cool, white cloth fell upon his forehead. Before Duke Sogren could comprehend what was happening, Ariel appeared before him, cheerfully greeting, "Good morning, father." Seeing his daughter Ivriel standing by his bedside, Duke Sogren assumed it was a fever dream. But seconds later, clarity surged through him. Duke Sogren sat up excitedly, gazing directly at Ivriel. She held a basin of water, poised to care for her ailing father. "Ariel," Duke Sogren asked, astonishment lacing his voice, "what are you doing here?" Ariel replied with a bright smile, "Because I saw you were feverish, father." Duke Sogren glanced towards the door. "How did you get in? Is that Lily outside?" Hearing her name, Lily hesitated before answering, "Yes." Suddenly, Duke Sogren called for her to enter. Reluctantly, the maid stepped inside. "Good morning, your grace." Duke Sogren, looking at Lily without accusation, inquired, "Did you open the door for her?" Lily immediately denied it. "Not directly, your grace." At this, Duke Sogren looked perplexed. Lily, resigned, revealed the truth. "I was carrying Miss Ariel, and she opened the door herself." Back in the dining room, Ariel, brimming with excitement, had expressed her desire to visit her father's room. Seeing Lily's hesitation, she had put on a pitiful expression. "If you don't help me see father today." Ariel's refusal to eat had a profound effect on Lily. For a maid, a young mistress refusing a meal was a dire situation. Left with no other choice, she agreed to Ariel's demands. At this, Duke Sogren wearily lifted his head and turned, instructing Lily to take Ariel away. He then added a reminder for the maid to take the towel and basin with her. Hearing this, Ariel looked perplexed. "Don't take them," she said. "Father still has a fever." Duke Sogren's expression turned serious. "I told you yesterday, even if the door to my room is open, you cannot just come in as you please. So you must not do this again, understand?" After questioning Ariel, Duke Sogren firmly ordered Lily to take her away immediately. And so, Ariel was once again forcibly removed from her father's room. As for Duke Sogren, he found the situation strange. His daughter, Ariel, wasn't usually one to impose on others. Reflecting on her recent change in behavior, the Duke mused that he had told her twice now. Surely she would understand. A short while later, however, Duke Sogren received another offering from Ariel. The young girl had, in fact, found another way into her father's room, this time presenting him with the teddy bear Lily had given her. Looking at his daughter's beaming face, Duke Sogren, a mixture of exasperation and indulgence playing across his features, found himself speechless. Holding the teddy bear in his hand, he asked curiously, "What is this?" Ariel, standing beside him, replied, "It's my teddy bear." Her name is Snowberry. Ariel explained to Duke Sogren, Lily made her for me. She saw that father's room was so empty, so she sent this to pray for your speedy recovery. Then, thoughtfully, she added, you must keep her by your side when you sleep. Seeing her handmade teddy bear cradled in the arms of a grown man, Lily felt a twinge of embarrassment. Despite this, she dared not show any displeasure, instead asking respectfully, Your Grace, did you call for me? Rubbing his temples, Duke Sogren said wearily to Lily, Candy, and Snowberry, could you please take them both out? Candy was the Duke's affectionate nickname for Ariel. Hearing that her father was once again sending her away, Ariel spoke urgently. I have something to tell you, father. Assuming his daughter was going to bring up the matter of a tutor again, Duke Sogren firmly refused. But Ariel persisted, struggling to escape Lily's grasp. If I don't do this now, I won't get another chance to see you. Father, just for a little while, she pleaded, reaching for the edge of the Duke's bed. However, due to the difference in their strength, she was ultimately pulled away by Lily. Her plan foiled once more, Ariel was led from the room, her expression etched with disappointment. She had anticipated this outcome, but she hadn't expected her father to be quite so resolute. Seeing the young mistress's downcast demeanor, Lily, standing beside her, could do little but offer words of comfort. Ariel, looking utterly heartbroken, tears welling in her eyes, sobbed, I was just worried about father, that's all. In truth, Ariel had initially intended to talk to her father about the tutor, but when she saw him lying in his sickbed, the words had caught in her throat. He had looked then as if he might fade away from the world entirely. Recalling the image of Duke Sogren lying there, struggling to breathe, Ariel was certain he must be terribly lonely. That was why she wanted to stay by his side, so he wouldn't feel so alone. Truly, a daughter was her father's confidant. Ariel knew that if things continued this way, she wouldn't be able to stay with him, and the trajectory of her life would mirror her previous one. A few moments later, Ariel seemed to have composed herself. She announced to Lily, there's somewhere I need to go now. Hearing this, Lily asked in surprise, where does Milady wish to go? To this question, Ariel simply offered a mischievous smile. Ariel's destination was Dr. Evan Chrysler's room. Upon seeing her, he asked in surprise, Miss Ariel, what brings you here? Are you feeling unwell? Ariel immediately shook her head. In truth, she had come seeking information about her father's condition. When Dr. Chrysler understood Ariel's intent, he realized she had sought him out specifically. His somewhat sardonic demeanor made Ariel suspicious. He struck her as a bit of a charlatan. But truthfully, he did have a medical degree, so he wasn't a quack. The old saying held true, talent often came with flaws. Thanks to Dr. Chrysler's flirtatious nature, dozens of maids had left the castle in tears. Ariel decided against revealing her true purpose just yet. She began casually, I was just curious about the apothecary and wanted to take a look. May I? Dr. Chrysler replied without hesitation, of course, Miss Ariel, although there's nothing much to see. Ariel wandered around the room, carefully observing her surroundings. Looking at the bottles on the table, she asked curiously, are these the ingredients for father's medicine? Dr. Chrysler patiently answered, yes, they're prepared every 3 days. Hearing this, Ariel feigned understanding. Then, noticing some herbs, she detected a peculiar scent. But the strange aroma didn't distract her from her primary objective. Turning to Dr. Chrysler, she asked amiably, what illness does my father have? Dr. Chrysler's expression suddenly turned serious. That's unexpected, Miss Ariel. I didn't think you'd inquire about the Duke's condition. Why the sudden interest, Mississippi? The topic seemed sensitive. Dr. Chrysler's demeanor shifted from friendly to sternly inquisitive. Unfazed by his serious, almost cold attitude, Ariel stepped closer, her voice earnest. Because I want to know, perhaps I can find a way to help father get better. In truth, Ariel knew more than most. The details of the Duke's illness were kept tightly under wraps. Besides Dr. Chrysler, only the Duke's aide knew the full truth of his condition. Secrecy was paramount, a measure to protect everyone within the castle walls. After a moment of contemplation, Dr. Chrysler answered patiently, His Grace suffers from a condition that weakens his lungs, making him more susceptible to illness than most. Hearing this, Ariel's face fell. Then, what can be done to restore father's health? Would eating well, sleeping well, and exercise help him recover? Dr. Chrysler abruptly stood, leaning down to smile at her. Certainly, when the weather is fine, he could take walks with you, Miss Ariel. His words instantly brightened Ariel's spirits, like a child given a sweet treat. Unobserved, Dr. Chrysler's expression turned somber. The Duke's condition was, in reality, beyond his ability to manage. He silently hoped the young miss could bear the worst, should it come to pass. Suddenly, Ariel rushed forward and hugged Dr. Chrysler tightly, expressing her gratitude. Thanks to him, she felt less worried. Her heartfelt display surprised the doctor, but the embrace of the 5-year-old girl softened his heart, bringing a smile to his face. Seeing her young mistress's improved mood, Lily felt a sense of relief, silently thanking Dr. Chrysler for lifting Ariel's spirits. But there was something neither Dr. Chrysler nor Lily knew. Based on the doctor's words, Ariel had begun to suspect her father suffered from consumption. In a corner, hidden from view, her expression was graver than before. Cystic disease is an incurable illness of unknown origin that causes the gradual deterioration of heart and lung function. At first, it's just a slight difficulty breathing, but as time goes on, walking becomes increasingly difficult, and after repeated seizures, it ultimately leads to death. Although unknown for now, there's a way to treat this dreadful disease. Having lived 2 lives, Ariel remembered that in her 13th year, the capital announced a method to slow the progression of cystic disease. That method was to increase the amount of daily sun exposure. Everyone thought it unreasonable that simply doing this could prevent the disease's progression. However, it was the truth, and a few years later, a cure was developed. Recalling Dr. Evan Chrysler's words, the Duke was suffering from an illness that weakened the lungs. A sudden realization struck Ariel. She thought of the medicine bottles in the dispensary. Those weren't remedies, but clearly sleeping pills and painkillers meant to alleviate the pain of cystic disease. At this moment, the young girl hadn't expected that the herbal knowledge she'd learned in the Royal Library in her past life would be so useful now. In her previous life, when a treatment for cystic disease was found, she couldn't bring herself to go to her father, foolishly worrying about whether he would reject her. But now, reborn, Ariel was determined never to let such foolish thoughts lead to her father's death. She wouldn't hesitate like she did in her past life, meaninglessly losing her father. Now, her primary goal was to slow the progression of the cystic disease. Even so, Ariel knew that if she wanted to achieve this, she first had to make some changes to this cave-like room. The difficulty here lay in how hard it was to get close to her father. Soon, Lily brought Ariel into the room. Upon seeing the space within, Ariel's eyes flickered, an idea sparking within her. The room was filled with sunlight and incredibly warm, giving her an idea for her father's treatment. Seeing that the young miss remained silent, Lily, the maid, assumed she was worried about the Duke's condition and offered words of comfort. "Miss, don't worry too much. His Grace will surely recover." Suddenly, Ariel called Lily's name absently, a playful smile gracing her lips. "I heard somewhere that it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission." Ariel's words left Lily somewhat perplexed, unsure what the young miss meant. The next day, upon hearing Ariel's command, Lily exclaimed in surprise, "What?" "Miss wants to remove all the curtains in His Grace's room." Looking at the doorknob, Ariel declared confidently, "Sunlight is essential for good health." Lily's concern was that if she did this, she would likely be thrown out by the Duke again. But Ariel said optimistically, "I'll be thrown out no matter what I do anyway." A few seconds later, Lily lifted Ariel so she could directly open the door and go inside. Meanwhile, Ariel mischievously advised the maid, "I told you not to worry so much. Even if we're thrown out, it's me who'll be thrown out." What Ariel didn't expect was that when she went to open the doorknob was locked. Lily, seeing this, hesitantly said, "It seems the door is locked." This news frustrated Ariel, and she shouted excitedly from outside, "I'm taking such good care of Father. Why is he locking the door? I hate you, bad father, mean father. Father is a dummy." Hearing his daughter's exasperated cries from inside the room, the Duke wearily held his head in his hand. He hadn't expected Ariel to dislike the tutor so much. Suddenly, a sharp pain shot through the Duke's chest, causing him to cough up blood. Looking at the crimson stain on his hand, the Duke's face darkened. He knew the symptoms were worsening. Thinking of his illness, Duke Sogren realized with anguish that he could no longer be close to Ariel. If she stayed by his side, Ariel would surely be infected. Outside, Ariel still stood before the door, waiting for her father's response. Lily, watching her, felt a pang of sympathy and wanted to coax her away. But Ariel remained resolute. "Why did Father lock the door?" she murmured to herself. "Is he angry with me?" The words were barely out before she dismissed the thought. Even when she upset him, her father had never been truly angry with her. When no sound came from within, Ariel grew anxious, fearing her father's illness was worsening. Her hand trembled as she knocked. "Father, can you hear me?" Still, the room remained silent. Lily, seeing this, offered words of comfort. "Perhaps His Grace is resting, Mississippi. Let's return to your room. I'll bring you some sweets." But Ariel refused, her voice firm. "I don't need sweets right now. Father is more important." Just then, the door swung open. Ariel, seeing this, felt a surge of joy, thinking her father had relented. Instead, it was the Duke's aide, Kian, who stood before her. Surprise flickered across Ariel's face. The man had declined a position with the mayor's family to serve the Sogren dukedom, a role passed down through generations of his family. Over the years, Ariel had come to understand that calling Kian merely an aide was a vast understatement. He was the one who shouldered the burden of the dukedom's affairs while her father was ill. "Hesitant plea," Ariel spoke. "It's been a while, Kian." A faint smile touched Kian's lips. "A while. I haven't been gone that long." With that, Kian knelt on one knee, his expression serious. "His Grace needs his rest. I understand you come to see him, miss, but it's not possible today. Please return to your room." Ariel's voice was small as she pleaded. "Kian, there's something I must tell Father. Just for a moment, please. Can't I see him?" Kian explained that the Duke had been suffering from insomnia and had locked the door to ensure uninterrupted rest. The words struck Ariel like a thunderbolt. She hadn't realized her father's condition was so dire. She leaned against the door, hoping to catch a glimpse inside, but Kian stopped her, his voice respectful yet firm. "His Grace needs his rest." Despite his obstruction, Ariel refused to give up. A flicker of hope remained. "What about tonight?" she asked. "Can I see him then?" Kian hesitated, then said slowly, "I don't know." With that, the Duke's aide departed, leaving Ariel standing like a statue before her father's door. Sensing Lily's gaze, Ariel asked curiously, "Why are you staring, Lily?" Lily hesitated, then replied, "It's the first time I've seen you speak to Master Kian for so long, Mississippi. You used to be so afraid of him." Lily's words gave Ariel pause. Though she appeared to be 5, her mind held the memories of a 14-year-old girl. She had no real recollection of Kian from her past life. After a moment, looking into Lily's eyes, something seemed to stir in her memory. She remembered that Kian was one of the Etherians, a race with human form, but the blood of beasts flowing through their veins. Kian carried the blood of a wolf. His gray hair, in particular, was a characteristic trait of the wolf tribe. Perhaps due to some primal instinct, ordinary people often felt a sense of unease in the presence of Etherians. Remembering this, Ariel realized she must have been afraid of Kian in her past life, too. But now, more terrifying than him, was the Emperor's expression as he raised his sword to strike her down. The image haunted her, sending shivers down her spine whenever it surfaced in her mind. After a few seconds, she forced herself to push the thought away, because what mattered most now was that Lady Tilly was arriving at the castle tomorrow, and Ariel knew she couldn't count on her father for help. Although Ariel's actions might harm Duke Sogren, she was determined to resolve the issue on her own. She had no other choice. She led Lily back to the inner chamber of the Duke's room, where the sound from outside were now muffled. Kian turned to the Duke. "My lord, the young miss has returned." Duke Sogren gave a weak nod of acknowledgement. Then, Kian continued, "As per your command, I haven't told the young miss anything. However, would you like to see her this evening?" The Duke was silent for a moment. "No," he finally said. He instructed Kian to send Ariel away if she came looking for him. He further cautioned his aide to refrain from mentioning Ariel in his presence for the time being, explaining that doing so would only intensify his longing for his daughter. Believing himself to be too lenient with Ariel, the Duke instructed Kian, "The governess will arrive soon. Entrust the girl to her care." Kian was momentarily taken aback by this declaration, but then dutifully accepted the order. "Yes, your grace. I will see to it." Time flew by, and soon Lady Tilly's carriage arrived at the gates of Sogren Castle. Gazing out the carriage window at the passing scenery, a thought flickered through Tilly's mind. To provide some context, Tilly had once been a lady-in-waiting to the Queen, living a life many envied. But then a great tragedy struck. The Queen, driven mad by the loss of her 2 princesses, dismissed all her attendants. Tilly, too, was cast aside in the ensuing chaos. To make matters worse, a devastating famine gripped the county of Seymour, her family's lands, bringing them to the brink of ruin in a single morning. Though Tilly sought help far and wide, none was forthcoming. In her desperation, a nobleman approached her with a proposition. What if you were to present the Queen with a young girl? Tilly was initially perplexed by this suggestion. The cunning, enigmatic man explained that the mere sight of a little girl would remind the queen of her lost princesses, shattering her already fragile sanity. If that were the case, why not offer a perfect substitute? After all, the queen's madness stemmed from the deaths of her daughters, so it stood to reason. The suitable candidate would have to be a noble, someone with access to the court, yet also someone of little consequence in the eyes of the deranged queen. Tilly, curious as to who this suitable candidate might be, listened as the mysterious man revealed that Duke Sogren was seeking a governess for his daughter. He proposed that Tilly secure the position, gain the child's trust, and then, when the opportunity arose, bring her to the capital. In return, he would ensure the Seymour family survival. The girl Tilly was to deliver to the capital was none other than Ariel, a girl stripped of her royal title, but still of noble blood. Tilly initially harbored concerns that this plan might go against the Emperor's wishes, but the mysterious man countered that it was precisely what the Emperor desired. Returning to the present, the carriage drew to a halt before Sogren Castle. With a surge of confidence, Tilly gracefully alighted and made her way towards the castle gates. Her boldness stemmed from the knowledge that the Emperor intended to use the princess as a pawn to control Sogren. Upon entering, Tilly was startled by the sight of Ariel and her young maid standing before her. Facing her former governess from her past life, Ariel's expression remained remarkably composed, betraying no surprise. 20 minutes earlier, the moment she saw Lady Tilly's carriage arrive at the castle gates, Ariel's gaze had hardened. Even reborn, she could not forget the face of the woman who had intended to deliver her to the queen in the capital, the woman who had set in motion the tragic chain of events that led to her demise. It was customary among the Beloit nobility to employ governesses for their children as soon as they began to toddle, providing them with a foundational education. Although Sogren had also advertised for a governess on numerous occasions, the dukedom, with its ailing lord and lack of influence, was practically considered a crumbling house. Therefore, reputable tutors were reluctant to work for Sogren, and the Sogren family's recruitment notices were gradually forgotten. Finally, when Ariel was 4 years old, they still couldn't hire a tutor, and the vassals began to worry greatly. Just then, the person who appeared was Lady Tilly. Entering the castle, Tilly gently placed her luggage on the floor and bowed respectfully. "It is an honor to meet you, Mississippi. I am Tilly, daughter of the Earl of Seymour. From today onwards, I will be in charge of your education." Looking at her, Ariel thought that she was as elegant and graceful as ever. Before her rebirth, Ariel had greatly admired Tilly, as she represented the image of composure her ailing father could not. As time went on, her father's illness worsened, and to make matters worse, after Lily returned to the West, Tilly became almost her sole protector. Ariel thought her life would continue leisurely like this. But when she was 9, Tilly told her she would take her to the capital. At the time, she concocted numerous reasons to persuade Ariel. If you want to integrate into high society, you must be educated in a better environment. There are many talented doctors in the capital. Perhaps we can find a way to cure the Duke. These words did indeed succeed in persuading Ariel, and even Duke Sogren at the time agreed with Tilly's proposal. He believed that if his daughter could go to the capital, she would be able to learn more, and it would be a good opportunity for her. Although she had already agreed to go to the capital with Tilly, hearing her father's words made Ariel feel somewhat aggrieved. She felt as though her father still believed she was lacking in many ways. But because she wanted to find a doctor to cure her father, Ariel at the time consoled herself to think positively, and then boarded the carriage to the capital as Tilly had arranged. The then 9-year-old Ariel secretly resolved to grow up well and return to Sogren, to her father's side. Ariel thought Lady Tilly would be her support in the capital, but she never imagined that Tilly's attitude would completely change after they arrived. She began to scold and yell at Ariel in her presence, and then even manipulated her psychologically with words like, "If you can't even learn this much, the Duke will be very disappointed." Young Ariel only knew that those words were true, so she did her utmost to absorb everything Tilly taught her, thinking that it would help her and her father. But by the time she realized Tilly had other motives, it was too late. When Ariel was 10, Tilly took her to meet the queen. The queen, driven mad by the disappearance of her princesses, took turns calling Ariel by their names. It was a terrifying memory for Ariel. Back in the present, Ariel walked towards Tilly, curtsying elegantly. "Thank you for coming all this way. Lady Tilly. It is my honor to learn from such a talented person. Ariel's attitude surprised Tilly somewhat. She had originally thought Ariel was a rude and uncultured child, but she hadn't expected her to behave like a noble lady. Looking at Tilly's expression, Ariel knew exactly what she was thinking. In fact, the etiquette Ariel displayed before Tilly was precisely what Tilly had taught her in her past life. Facing Tilly, Ariel now acted very amicably. Lady Tilly, shall we begin our lessons now? Tilly felt somewhat uneasy at encountering such an enthusiastic student. In this new life, Ariel loathed her past naivete, how she hadn't understood why Tillen, a noble woman from the capital, would choose to come to such a remote northern dukedom. Outwardly, Tillen was a confidant of the queen, but in reality, she was plotting to use Ariel as a hostage to control Sogren. Ariel knew this was all part of the Emperor's scheme, so she couldn't act rashly and arouse suspicion. Feigning innocence, she asked, "Don't you enjoy starting lessons early, my lady?" Tilly forced a smile. "Not at all. I'm delighted to instruct such an enthusiastic pupil." Despite her words, Tilly inwardly scoffed at Ariel, believing her to be a child who had never learned anything of substance. She assumed the most basic instruction would suffice. But life wasn't a dream. A moment later, Ariel retrieved a prepared stack of books and declared, "I've already mastered these." Astonishment flickered across Tilly's face. "You've already studied all of the scriptures and fundamental principles, Miss Ariel." Ariel's level of knowledge shocked her. She hadn't expected a child who'd never had a governess to be so proficient in foundational subjects. As Tilly fumbled with her lesson plans, Ariel pointedly yawned again and again. "When are we going to begin? I've been waiting so long." Annoyed by Ariel's attitude, Tilly muttered under her breath, "I'll have to teach you something more challenging." Then, with a veneer of confidence, she asked, "Do you know the difference between Heath's paradox and Levin's paradox, Miss Ariel?" Tilly was certain Ariel wouldn't be able to answer, a smug response to Ariel's perceived arrogance. But Tilly was wrong. Ariel answered fluidly. Heath's paradox is based on the cyclical color changes of the Macaca star, while Levin's paradox is based on the passage of years. Tilly paled. "Yes," she stammered, "that is correct, Miss Ariel." A few seconds later, still unwilling to concede, Tilly pressed on, quizzing Ariel about the reasons for Wincel's abolishment of multi-species slavery. Each question Tilly posed was met with a smooth, accurate response from Ariel, leaving Tilly flustered. Sensing Tilly's growing unease, Ariel smiled, turning the tables. "I have a question for you. Teacher, when observing the Promala constellation, what shape does the Guardian Cross take?" The complex question stumped Tilly. Ariel, feigning sympathy, supplied the answer. "It takes the shape of a cross." Then, with a melancholic sigh, she added, "It seems the teacher knows less than her student, doesn't it?" "Isn't that right, Lady Tilly?" Ariel's demeanor unnerved Tilly. She couldn't fathom how a child could possess such a grasp of political history. Flustered, Tilly declared she would report this to her family, claiming Ariel had deceived her. Ariel found this laughable. "Procuring a tutor is a difficult task. Why would I deceive you?" she asked mockingly. Tilly insisted she was the best, retorting, "I was explicitly told you had no tutor, Miss Ariel. You've concealed the truth, memorizing information beforehand to trick me. That's an insult." Seeing Tilly's agitation, Ariel calmly countered, "It's not an insult, teacher. It's simply that my mind is sharper than yours." Ariel's pointed retort left Tilly speechless. Knowing she had won, Ariel hopped off her chair. Her voice, cold and sharp, carried a warning. "Lessons have begun today, so Father will undoubtedly ask me about their content and whether they are worthwhile. This is what I shall tell him. There is nothing to learn." Ariel fixed Tilly with a warning glare as she spoke, the unspoken message hanging heavy in the air. Either continue these pointless lessons with me, or return to the capital and find another way to save your family. Tilly trembled, fear gripping her. She hadn't expected a 5-year-old to see through her charade, to understand the true purpose of her presence here. In that moment, Tilly blurted out the question plaguing her. "How did you know?" Ariel asked, an innocent smile playing on her lips. "Why do you think I've never had a tutor before?" Ariel's unusual demeanor frightened Tilly, who instinctively took a step back. The chilling realization dawned on her. Princess Ariel had known her reasons for being here from the very beginning. A short while later, Tilly went to Kian's office and relayed everything she knew about Ariel. Kian was taken aback. "You're saying the young misunderstands all foreign languages, history, and basic etiquette?" Tilly nodded vigorously in confirmation. Even so, Kian remained skeptical. How could a girl who still struggled with fluent speech possibly know things she'd never been taught? Desperate to convince him, Tilly revealed that Ariel had threatened her. Her words only served to heighten Kian's disbelief. The young aide asked politely, laced with a hint of mockery, and how, precisely, did the young miss threaten you? Kian's pointed question silenced Tilly. Unable to articulate how a 5-year-old had posed a threat, Tilly could only suggest, with a growing sense of urgency, that she needed to return to the capital immediately. Observing Tilly's evident fear, Kian found himself increasingly frustrated with the governess. He couldn't believe she was intimidated by a child. Resigned, Kian finally agreed. I'll arrange a carriage for you. That afternoon, Tilly departed Soin Castle with almost indecent haste. As soon as Ariel received the news, a wave of elation washed over her. Tilly's departure was even quicker than she'd anticipated. Ariel had been susceptible to Tilly's manipulations in her past life because she had been a naive and easily influenced child. Now, she simply needed to appear less gullible. Ariel knew that by leveraging her foreknowledge of the future, she could turn the tables. Excitement coursed through the little girl. All she wanted now was to see her father. As Ariel passed her father's room, she noticed a red-haired man vehemently arguing against Lady Tilly's return to the capital. Knowing this concerned her, Ariel cautiously hid behind the door. Within Soin, there were 3 powerful vassal families: Ishmael, Vauban, and Soin themselves. The red-haired man was a vassal of Soin. In her previous life, he had been the one who strongly advocated for her to have a tutor. At the time, Ariel hadn't understood his insistence. Now it struck her as odd. She had assumed it was simply a matter of ensuring the heir's proper education. But even after she, the sole heir, had been taken by the queen, these 3 families hadn't proposed any alternative measures. For instance, if they had wanted to oust her father, her absence as the heir would have made their task easier. Based on her observations, Ariel privately concluded that there might be a traitor among these vassals, or perhaps they were all in league with one another. Specifically, Blunt, a relative of Soin, was theoretically next in line to inherit the entire dukedom should Soin's line end. The red-haired man before her was Blunt, and he was currently demanding an audience with the duke. After a period of commotion outside the door, it finally opened. Kian emerged, bowing respectfully to Blunt. Blunt, upon seeing Kian, demanded irately, "Why won't His Grace see me?" Kian could only offer the same weary reply. As I've said, His Grace has been unwell recently. Despite being rebuffed, Blunt refused to give up. He insisted that the new tutor's abrupt return after only a day warranted discussion and a course of action. Watching Blunt's theatrical display, Ariel began to regard the man with growing suspicion. Unable to jump to conclusions, she decided to test the waters. Ariel feigned a recent arrival, stepping out to greet Kian. Blunt seemed surprised to see Ariel, and Kian, standing beside him, also appeared taken aback by her presence there. Suddenly, as if a thought had struck him, the young aide decisively closed the door. Despite Ariel's pleading gaze, Kian remained firm, refusing to allow her to see the Duke at this time. Blunt suddenly spoke. "Princess, there's something I'd like to ask you." "May I ask you, Princess?" Ariel, with a naive smile, agreed to his request. Once settled in the reading room, Blunt brought up the matter of Ariel's dismissal of Tilly. He inquired as to her reasons. Blunt's directness initially flustered Ariel, but she maintained her composure, replying, "Because Lady Tilly didn't seem particularly inclined to teach me." Blunt gave an awkward laugh. If the princess had welcomed her warmly, would things have turned out this way? "It's not too late. Even now you could ask her to stay." Faced with what seemed like an accusation, Ariel calmly responded, "Why should I?" Blunt's tone grew serious. "The princess must receive instruction so that she can quickly become Soin's heir. Otherwise, His Grace will be disappointed." Blunt's words only strengthened Ariel's resolve. It struck her as highly suspicious that Tilly, someone with no apparent connection to the north, would decide to come to Soin on her own. Based on Blunt's words so far, Ariel could finally confirm that Tilly had come to Soin with his backing. Just as Ariel suspected, Blunt had rashly brought Tilly to Soin to deal with the princess, a thorn in his side. When he received news of her arrival, he assumed everything would be easily resolved. He hadn't expected Tilly to want to leave Soin after only a day, claiming the princess already knew everything from her family. Having said her piece, Tilly had fled. Looking back, Tilly had run away over what amounted to a child's game. Blunt felt no regret, as her presence wouldn't have benefited him anyway. After Tilly's departure, Blunt saw an opportunity to meet with the princess, believing that tricking a 5-year-old would be a simple matter. Everything seemed to be going according to plan, but Ariel's unexpected cleverness was throwing a wrench into his schemes. The princess calmly and casually asked Blunt, "You're close with Lady Tilly, aren't you? Otherwise, why would you go to such lengths? Answer me." Ariel fixed him with a steady gaze. Blunt trembled with apprehension, managing only a flimsy excuse. "How could that be? I'm merely concerned for the princess's safety and the future of Sogren, because the princess is of noble Sogren blood and will inherit the duty of protecting the barrier. I say this only because I'm worried that the princess's education is later than that of other families." Just when Blunt thought he had successfully deceived Ariel, her next question stopped him cold. "Do you truly believe that?" Facing Blunt's troubled expression, Ariel didn't hesitate to voice her thoughts. "Soon the vassals will gather, and then I will tell you why I don't need a tutor." That evening, Ariel took Lily to the basement. Seeing how thoroughly her mistress had prepared, Lily asked worriedly, "Are you sure this is all right, Mississippi? Even though Master Kian, the head of the basement, opened the door for us, is it okay to do this without permission?" Prior to this, Ariel had told Kian she wanted to see the basement, feigning curiosity about its contents. Kian was initially hesitant, but when Ariel promised not to disturb his work if he opened the door for her, he agreed. At this moment, Ariel, aware of her maid's concern, offered reassurance. "Kian has already opened the way for us, so it's all right. Besides, an important meeting is about to begin, and we shouldn't disturb Father's busy schedule." December's chill permeated the air, the days at their shortest, the heart of midwinter. Every November, Sogren held a council meeting to ensure security throughout the midwinter period. During this time, all vassals remained at Sogren Castle, deliberating on the allocation of winter supplies and strategies for dealing with various issues, including monstrous threats. Thinking of her carefully laid plans, Ariel felt a surge of confidence. Everything will be fine. A sudden shiver ran through her. "Lily," she murmured, "isn't a bit cold." Lily, noticing her mistress's discomfort, fretted. "Indeed, Mississippi. I should have prepared a thicker coat for you. I'll fetch one immediately." In truth, this was a ruse. Ariel had deliberately chosen a thinner coat, using the cold as an excuse to send Lily back to her room, creating an opportunity to pursue her own agenda. Ariel hurried towards the basement door, her eyes scanning her surroundings. Moments later, she stood before a peculiar wall, a device that reacted to the bloodline of Sogren. As Ariel placed her hand upon the designated mark, the system whirred to life, unlocking the door to the hidden chamber within. With the way now clear, Ariel slipped into the secret space. Immediately, something caught her eye. Before her lay Winterbane, the heirloom of the Sogren family, a sacred relic passed down through generations of barrier guardians. The staff was crafted from a fragment of an ancient winter sprite. By right, it belonged to the Duke of Sogren. However, in his current weakened state, he wouldn't be able to withstand the potent ice magic contained within Winterbane. Determined to protect her father from its potentially harmful effects, Ariel resolved to claim it for herself. But there was a problem. Before her rebirth, she had tried and failed numerous times to attune to the staff. Reaching out for Winterbane, Ariel silently vowed to prove herself worthy. With unwavering determination, Ariel grasped the staff and closed her eyes, focusing her will, praying that Winterbane would accept her. If she was to protect her father and Sogren, she needed the power of Winterbane as her stepping stone. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the castle, the vassals were in council. Discussions regarding the management of the dukedom filled the room. The Duke of Sogren presided over the meeting, with Kian at his side. Kian's presence, however, was a source of discontent among the vassals. They muttered amongst themselves, questioning how an outsider of unknown origins could be permitted to participate in such an important gathering. It was unheard of. Their whispers then turned to the Duke's ailing health, their words laced with barely concealed disdain for his perceived weakness. With every muttered word, Blunt's resentment and arrogance grew. If not for the Duke, he mused, he would already be the new ruler of the North. Blunt was, after all, a kinsman of the Sogren family, a fact that both fueled his ambition and served as the very obstacle preventing him from claiming the dukedom. The Duke, weary of the incessant murmuring, pressed a hand to his temple. "Kian," he asked, "what is the next item on the agenda?" Kian, ever attentive, replied, "Perhaps we should adjourn for the day, Your Grace. We can resume tomorrow." Another vassal, his tone laced with suspicion, spoke up. "Is Your Grace feeling unwell again?" We understand, of course. The head of the Sogren family is frail. These words instantly ignited the temper of one of the men present. Watch your tongue, Verbane roared. The Duke is still present. Seeing the rising tension, Kian intervened, his voice firm. As I said, the remaining matters will be discussed at the next meeting. Reconvene here at this time tomorrow. Just then, Blunt rose to his feet, a look of defiance on his face. I have something to say before the meeting concludes, Verbane announced, his hand waving dismissively towards Blunt. I'd like to discuss the matter of the princess's tutor. What's the meaning of this? Haven't you found one yet? Blunt's lips curled into a cold smile. Lady Tilly left the castle the very day she arrived. Something doesn't seem right about that, he said, his gaze darkening. He knew that if word spread of the tutor's abrupt departure, it would damage the princess's reputation. Just as Blunt had anticipated, murmurs rippled through the assembled vassals. He knew they all remembered the princess from this time last year. The image of a weak, incompetent girl, utterly clueless about even basic etiquette, lingered in their minds. This, Blunt thought, was his opportunity. This was how he would undermine the Duke's authority. This was how he would sway more of the vassals to his side. Just as he was about to elaborate, a hand shot up. Another vassal, his curiosity piqued, asked, "So, what is it that doesn't seem right?" Blunt opened his mouth to reply, but Ariel swept into the room, her bearing regal and imposing. Blunt stared, momentarily taken aback by her sudden appearance. Ariel's sharp eyes immediately caught Blunt's look of surprise. She offered him a small, mocking smile, her expression unreadable. Blunt found himself scrambling to guess her intentions. Without a word, Ariel walked directly towards the Duke. He, too, was startled into silence by his daughter's unexpected arrival. With a graceful curtsy, the princess offered her father a respectful greeting, wishing the guardian of the barrier good health. The confident display of proper aristocratic decorum stunned everyone present. "I have something I wish to show you, Your Grace," Ariel announced, her unusual formality causing a flicker of unease in the Duke's eyes. Sensing something amiss, Blunt rose to his feet. "What is the meaning of this, princess? This childishness needs to stop." Ariel met his gaze, her own unwavering. "Childishness? Is that what you call this?" With a flourish, she presented her hand, a glowing mark visible upon her palm. A beam of light erupted from it, illuminating the room. Seconds later, she triumphantly held aloft Winterbane for all to see. A stunned silence fell over the room as the vassals struggled to comprehend what they were witnessing. "Is that Winterbane?" Blunt stammered, his voice laced with disbelief. Ariel smiled serenely. "Before continuing my studies with my tutor," she explained, "I thought I should learn to control Winterbane. I hear that if used correctly, it can make the winters much more bearable. In the lands of Sogren, the depths of winter were a time of bitter cold. Winterbane, it was said, could absorb that cold and transform it into magical power." Blunt's face twisted in frustration. The knowledge that Ariel had already mastered Winterbane filled him with a burning resentment. "The princess must have used some trickery," he spat. "I've never heard of anyone inheriting Winterbane before their coming-of-age ceremony." Ariel feigned innocence. "Trickery? You wound me. I needed no trickery to show you this," she said, turning to her father, "because Winterbane was given to me by his grace." The words shocked not only the Duke, but every vassal in the room, leaving them speechless in the face of this unexpected turn of events. Blunt looked as if he might collapse. He couldn't fathom that the Duke had aided Ariel in obtaining Winterbane. The thought that the ailing Duke was well enough to help Ariel master Winterbane filled him with a chilling realization. The Duke, he feared, was recovering. Ariel watched the blood drain from Blunt's face, a flicker of satisfaction in her eyes. He was thinking exactly what she wanted him to think. In truth, Ariel hadn't lied. While Kian had opened the vault, he was her father's aide. Therefore, by the transitive property, the ducal family had still aided her in obtaining Winterbane. Just then, another vassal spoke up. "Your Grace," he addressed the Duke, "has the princess truly mastered Winterbane?" The Duke of Sogren turned to look at Ariel for a moment, then spoke with some effort. "Yes," he confirmed, "the princess has mastered Winterbane." The vassal sighed in astonishment. The princess was truly gifted. Ariel's mastery of Winterbane was a momentous occasion. Before this, he had thought he could only watch Soin decline into oblivion. Now, miraculously, he could look forward to Soin's future. The Duke, also unwilling to prolong the meeting, rose to his feet and declared, "Then there is no need to discuss the matter of the tutor any further." This declaration was immediately met with opposition from Blunt, who seemed to have more to say. Unexpectedly, the Duke cut him off. "Enough. Everyone is dismissed." Then, he called Ariel's name. The young princess felt a chill emanate from her father. The Duke of Soin wanted her to accompany him somewhere. Ariel, with a reluctant sigh, closed her eyes and obediently followed her father out of the council chamber. She knew a scolding was inevitable, but the moment she stood beside him, a tremor of fear ran through her. Ariel hadn't expected to master Winterbane. In the moment she realized she had to protect Soin, she had felt a connection to the ancient staff. Just then, the Duke of Soin turned abruptly. He addressed his daughter calmly. "Enough, Ariel. I didn't expect you to achieve this at such a young age." All previous leaders of Soin mastered Winterbane at their coming-of-age ceremony. The words, seemingly praise, filled Ariel with a fleeting sense of pride. But the Duke's next words brought her sharply back to reality. "Don't get ahead of yourself. I'm reprimanding you. Didn't Kian tell you to be careful with Winterbane?" Ariel suddenly remembered Kian's stern warning. The stone door behind the treasury held Soin's treasures and could be dangerous. She was absolutely forbidden to touch it. Now, facing the Duke of Soin, Ariel was at a loss for words. Seeing his daughter's silence, the Duke continued, "So you disobeyed my instructions and even brought Lily along. And you lied to the vassals." Ariel knew she had acted without permission, so she could only admit her fault. But then, excitement bubbling up, she asked, "Even so, Winterbane has accepted me, so I can control it, right?" The Duke's reply was immediate. "No, you are forbidden to use Winterbane until you come of age." The Duke's words were like a thunderclap. The little girl, hearing this, ran to her father and clutched his leg. "I must control Winterbane." Seeing his daughter's unwavering determination, the Duke was taken aback. He didn't know that Ariel, more than anyone, knew a blizzard was coming this midwinter. It had happened long ago, so her memory was hazy. But before her rebirth, when she was 5, Soin had suffered greatly because of a blizzard. That was why Ariel had to control Winterbane. She pleaded with her father, "Please, father." Hearing this, the Duke of Soin sighed and sat down to explain to his daughter. Mastering it and controlling it were two entirely different things. Using Winterbane in her current state was incredibly dangerous. Absorbing the winter's chill was even more so. Ariel immediately cried out in protest. "No. Ignoring the chill is even more dangerous." Duke Soin refused to budge. "I will hear no more of this, Ariel," he said sternly to his daughter. "We have weathered many winters without Winterbane and suffered no ill effects. Now, return to your chambers." Hearing her father's dismissal, Ariel understood he didn't believe her. The realization stung, and tears welled in her eyes. Suddenly, a voice echoed in Ariel's mind, urging her to look at her father's face. She met the Duke's gaze, seeing the worry etched into his aging features. After a moment of silence, Ariel spoke. "Father," she asked, "are you stopping me because you're worried about me?" Duke Soin started to reply, but the words caught in his throat. He pressed his lips together, unwilling to betray his emotions to his daughter. Turning away, he instructed Ariel to go and rest. She watched his retreating figure, a deep sadness washing over her. More than the sadness, though, was the frustration of still being forbidden to use Winterbane. Then something occurred to her. That strange voice who had spoken to her. Lost in thought, Ariel returned to her room. Exhausted from the day's events, Ariel felt her eyelids grow heavy. Her vision blurred. Then, a familiar voice jolted her awake. "Wake up, little girl. It's dangerous." The warning snapped her back to alertness. Ariel's eyes flew open to find a shadowy figure looming over her, like a villain from a detective story. Fear pricked at her, but she called out bravely, "Who's there? Who dares intrude upon the princess of Soin's chambers?" The figure before her remained a formless, shapeless shadow. Elsewhere, Kian bowed his head apologetically. "I have no excuse, Your Grace." Duke Soin, understanding the apology referred to opening the hidden chamber for Ariel, replied calmly, "I told you not to report it. You were occupied with the Winter Council." He seemed surprised that Ariel had managed to claim Winterbane. Kian considered the events of the day, from Blunt's attitude to the other's apprehension regarding Winterbane. He realized his mistress had changed. He now believed what Tillian had said. As if struck by an idea, Kian tentatively asked the Duke, "Would it be all right if I told the princess that you were worried about her?" The Duke chuckled. "You heard that?" Kian pointed proudly at his ear. "Indeed. You know that the hearing of different races is several times keener than that of humans." Duke Sogren stroked the window pane. "If I were an ordinary father, perhaps I would worry," he murmured, "but I am not." With the deepening winter, the Duke's seizures had become more frequent and severe, a stark reminder of his approaching death. The thought of having to appear indifferent to his daughter filled him with a peculiar sadness. He knew Ariel must be hurting. He turned to Kian, his voice resolute. "For that child, I only need to be a nightmare of a father. A nightmare she can wake up from and dismiss." Despite his words, an unfathomable sorrow flickered in his eyes, as if he didn't truly believe what he was saying. Kian sensed something amiss and began to ask, "Are you all right, Your Grace?" When a sudden blast of cold air struck them, Kian reacted instantly, shielding the Duke from the shattering glass. Duke Sogren, momentarily disoriented, asked, "What was that?" Before them stood a group of figures clad in black, their faces obscured. The Duke of Sogren, in his own castle, was under attack. Ariel's face paled with terror when she saw Blunt standing before her. He held a vial filled with something ominous, suggesting it would be best for the princess to continue sleeping. There was no doubt Blunt's presence here was solely to deal with Ariel. He knew his only chance to return to Sogren Castle was during the next Winter Council meeting. If Ariel mastered Winterbane that year, his entire scheme would crumble. Furthermore, if the Duke's condition truly improved, the Emperor would surely have him killed. Ariel tried to calmly assess Blunt's face. She realized the man had gone completely mad. Just as Ariel thought herself fortunate he wasn't wielding a weapon, the sight of the vial in his hand sent a chill down her spine. Seeing Ariel's gaze fixated on the vial, Blunt offered a hasty explanation. "It's nothing, just a fever reducer." Ariel immediately responded with a sardonic laugh. "You'll use this to make it look like I died because I couldn't control Winterbane." Ariel's words startled Blunt. He hadn't expected her to know his plans. Most fever reducers used in the North were diluted poisonous herbs, meant to lower body temperature, but if taken undiluted, they could cause death by hypothermia. No longer as frightened as she had been initially, Ariel pressed her advantage. "If I'm found cold in the morning, everyone will think that, won't they?" In truth, Ariel's confidence stemmed from the fact that Lily's room was next to hers. She believed she could summon help with a single shout, but the princess hadn't anticipated that Lily, too, was currently under the control of a man in black. Before Ariel stood the chilling sight of Lily, a knife held dangerously to her throat by the vein. Now, Ariel began to feel everything spiraling out of control. Blunt chuckled from the side. "If you drink this obediently, I'll let her go." Knowing the vial contained deadly poison, Lily frantically urged Ariel not to drink it. She understood better than anyone that if Blunt was certain Ariel had consumed the poison, he would turn on her immediately. Driven to desperation, Ariel produced Winterbane, intending to use it against Blunt. Seeing Winterbane, Blunt laughed without a trace of surprise. "The princess intends to attack me with that. How frightening. You don't even know how to control it." Indeed, Ariel didn't know how to control Winterbane, but she planned to throw it to Lily, hoping to create a chance to escape. As Ariel struggled, a voice suddenly echoed in her mind. "Are you worried?" Ariel spoke directly to the voice. "Who are you?" It's always amusing when little girls ask questions, but now doesn't seem to be the time, does it? The voice continued leisurely. "Since the situation is urgent and there's no time, I'll keep it brief. If you want to use Winterbane, which is formed by magic, you must become a mage." That sounded logical enough, but the problem was Ariel wasn't a mage. As if reading her thoughts, the strange voice continued. "Indeed, she is not. If you want to become a mage, you just need to open the door. Simple, right?" Although Ariel didn't know what this door was, she pleaded with the being in her consciousness to do something to help her escape this predicament. Meanwhile, Blunt had closed in on Ariel, ready to force the poison down her throat. Just then, the voice urged Ariel not to panic, promising to help her immediately. A door materialized in the air. As it opened, a gust of snow rushed out. Ariel felt some kind of energy flowing into her. According to the voice, these were traces of the substance that permeated the world. The strange sensation overwhelmed Ariel's mind. Suddenly, the voice warned her not to panic, lest something bad happen. As Ariel grasped Winterbane, attempting to redirect its energy, a surge of icy magic flooded outwards. The sudden onslaught was too much for Blunt to withstand. Seconds later, the raw power slammed into him. The energy ripped through Blunt, cell by cell, leaving him limp and hurtling through the air. Seeing her mistress in danger, Lily, with a fierce cry, threw herself against the cloaked figure with all her might. The cloaked figure, knocked off balance, stumbled back, directly into the path of the magical surge. He plummeted from the rooftop, his internal organs crushed. The second assailant was dealt with as swiftly and cleanly as the first. The storm subsided. Ariel stood, dazed, unsure of what had just transpired. As Winterbane vanished, the familiar voice echoed in her mind. I told you not to panic. The gateway of magical energy now closed. Ariel, knowing they were safe, collapsed to the ground. She gasped for breath, clearly injured, but her first concern was for Lily. As blood trickled from her nose, Ariel finally understood her father's warnings about the dangers of wielding Winterbane. Just then, Kian rushed in, his face etched with worry. "My lady, are you all right?" Seeing him standing before her, Ariel felt a wave of relief wash over her. She tried to speak, to thank him, but the world began to fade. Some time later, Ariel awoke in an unfamiliar room. Kian had carried her there after she collapsed. Turning her head towards the shadows, she saw a familiar figure standing by her bedside. It was none other than the Duke of Sogren. He had rushed to her side upon hearing of her collapse, his worry overriding everything else. Seeing him there, Ariel wondered if it was a fever dream. His tall figure began to turn away, disappearing from her sight. Unable to bear the thought of being alone, Ariel whispered, "Father, don't go. I don't want to be alone." Her plea stopped him in his tracks. The Duke's heart ached. He longed to comfort his daughter, but he believed her safety lay in his distance. Outside the room, Kian informed him that Blunt had been imprisoned in the dungeons, awaiting interrogation. Upon hearing this, the Duke turned sharply. "The rest, I will handle it." Kian, understanding his lord's intent, protested. "I understand your feelings, but we cannot act rashly. He must have accomplices. If we don't deal with them thoroughly, the danger will remain." The Duke's gaze hardened. Ariel had nearly died. The events in the castle replayed in his mind. Blunt, driven by his lust for power, had tried to kill her. The Duke felt the weight of responsibility. He believed that as long as Ariel remained by his side, she would be in constant danger. This was why he kept her at arm's length. He clung to his late wife's dying words. "Please, protect Ariel for me." Descending into the dungeons, the Duke approached Blunt without hesitation and seized him by the throat. Blunt struggled to breathe, his face turning purple. Even in his final moments, he couldn't comprehend the Duke's sudden recovery. The Duke seemed unwilling to hear Blunt's last words. After a moment, he released his grip, tossing the traitor's body into a dark corner. His expression was unreadable. Kian was about to speak, but the words died in his throat as he saw Duke Sogren's face contort in pain. The exertion had triggered a relapse of the Duke's illness. After composing himself somewhat, Duke Sogren called Kian's name, reminding him to keep Ariel away should she awaken. Kian bowed respectfully. Having received his orders, he addressed the matter of Blunt, stating that according to the laws of the Beloit Empire and the unwritten laws of the North, Blunt would be brought to trial and banished. Kian bowed again, deeply. "As you command." As the Duke passed Kian, he murmured a quiet addendum. "Of course, there will be no trial." Meanwhile, Lily wept inconsolably by Ariel's bedside, having learned of the princess's collapse after Blunt's attack. Seeing her maid's distress, Ariel felt a pang of guilt. "Don't cry, Lily," she soothed. "You'll wear yourself out." But Lily's tears continued to flow. "My lady was hurt trying to protect me. I couldn't help but cry when I saw you wake up safely." Dr. Evan Chrysler stood nearby, assessing Ariel's condition. "Princess, aside from the cold, do you feel any pain?" Ariel shook her head. No. Since acquiring Winterbane, she had been forced to endure its chilling touch. The thought reminded her that subduing the artifact had taken a toll on her body. In Dr. Chrysler's presence, she suddenly brought up Blunt. "I'm truly feeling much better now, but what happened to the man who attacked me?" Lily's voice dripped with disdain. "I don't even want to mention him, but he's in the dungeon awaiting trial." The maid then announced that the winter conference had concluded and instructed Ariel to rest and recover. Ariel was taken aback. "The winter conference is over, but it's only been a day." Lily's face creased with confusion. "My lady, you've been asleep for 3 days. The winter conference ended abruptly yesterday." The news stunned Ariel. She hadn't realized she'd been unconscious for so long. Recalling Blunt's presence in her chambers, she suspected he hadn't intended to kill just her, but her father as well. The thought of Duke Sogren propelled Ariel out of bed. She had to see him. Lily, alarmed by her sudden movement, protested. You haven't fully recovered. You shouldn't be walking around. I just need to see my father for a moment, Ariel insisted, her voice laced with worry. But her intentions were thwarted. Kian stood guard outside Duke Sovereign's chambers, barring her entry. Denied access, Ariel demanded an explanation. Kian's voice was firm. His Grace is resting. He is also fatigued after the winter conference and was greatly distressed by what happened to you. Ariel's concern deepened. She remembered her father's frail health, the worried look on his face as he lay unconscious in his bed. Determined, Ariel pleaded with Kian, her expression beseeching. Just for a moment. I need to ask him something. But Kian remained resolute. I cannot allow it. He gave explicit orders that no one is to enter. Ariel persisted, bargaining for just a minute inside. When Kian still refused, she reluctantly reduced her request to 30 seconds. Faced with Ariel's insistent demeanor, Kian wearily approached her and patiently explained, I apologize, but I cannot open the door for you, Mississippi. I am His Grace's aide, and I must prioritize his orders. Hearing this, Ariel immediately stamped her foot in frustration. But it's just a daughter visiting her father. Seeing Ariel's childish behavior, Kian couldn't help but chuckle softly. My, even a grown young lady has such a side to her. Suddenly, Ariel noticed the injury on Kian's face, recalling the injury on Blunt's chin. At her unspoken observation, Kian feigned touching the wound and replied, I accidentally cut myself with a craft knife. Ariel offered him a sympathetic look. She mused that even someone like Kian could be prone to mistakes. Just then, Kian spoke gently to Ariel. In any case, it's a relief that you've awakened, Mississippi. You still need to recover your strength. At that moment, Lily scooped Ariel up in her arms, stating firmly, Master Kian is right. Miss must eat first. Then let's quickly return to your room. As the room receded from view, an indescribable sadness welled up within Ariel. Even though she had subdued Winterbane, she still couldn't see her father. Thinking that her father might be in too much pain to care for her, Ariel turned to Lily and said, Give me a moment. I'll just say one word to father and come right back. Meanwhile, in the Duke's chambers, Kian was reporting on Blunt's situation. The trial has proceeded as per the High Court's decree. The criminal has been transported to the Beloit capital. Hearing the report, the Duke asked with concern, How is your injury? Kian replied gently, It's nothing to worry about, Your Grace. Are you concerned for me? Kian's official title was Aide to the Duke of Sogren, but he held another title unknown to those present, Captain of the Duke's Secret Guard, the leader of the Protectors. The Duke of Sogren lowered his gaze. Indeed, who is worried about whom? In any case, quickly find knights and trustworthy guards to protect Ariel. Kian bowed in acknowledgement. Then I shall take my leave to begin preparations. After Kian left, the Duke of Sogren wearily laid down on his bed to rest. Suddenly, he noticed the hourglass resting on his bedside table. He knew that as time passed, his symptoms would worsen. If this continued, he would one day become a monster. If he were to lose control and go mad, he would rather die. Just then, Ariel's voice suddenly called out from beyond the door, taking the Duke by surprise. Ariel spoke softly to her father through the closed door. I'm all right. Evan Chrysler and Lily are taking good care of me, so please don't worry, father. I need you. Ariel seemed to have more to say, but the words caught in her throat, preventing her from speaking them to her father. What she wanted most to say was that she hoped he would live a long and healthy life together with her. It had to be that way. After leaving the Duke's room, Lily prepared a simple meal for Ariel to regain her strength. Ariel's thoughts were consumed with whether her father had heard her words at the door. Ariel so desperately hoped her father had heard her that she repeated her words over and over again in front of his room. After finishing her meal, just as Ariel was about to speak to Lily, a group of people suddenly appeared in the hallway. The retainers were unexpectedly waiting in the corridor to see Ariel. We heard that you had awakened, miss, so we came to check on you. Are you feeling well? Seeing the retainers, Ariel was surprised. Why is everyone here? Lily, seemingly aware of something, leaned in close to Ariel and whispered that while she was unconscious, the winter conference had concluded early. However, the vassals remained at the castle, ostensibly to investigate those involved in the conspiracy. During this investigation, it came to light that Blunt had been plotting a rebellion for some time, gradually embezzling from Sogren's coffers under the guise of business dealings. More significantly, news of Ariel subduing Blunt with Winterbane had also spread. Initially, the whispers remained amongst the maidservants, but they gradually reached the vassals, the story snowballing into a rumor that Ariel single-handedly, could slay dozens with Winterbane. A flicker of panic crossed Ariel's face. Are you saying I wiped out all the bad guys with Winterbane? Looking at the expressions of the assembled vassals, Ariel realized the extent of their misunderstanding regarding her abilities. Just as she was about to explain, a spark of shrewdness stayed her tongue. This misconception, after all, could serve as proof of her control over Winterbane. But life rarely follows the neat script of dreams. Warbane stepped forward with a request. If it's all right, could I perhaps see it? Hearing his request, Ariel understood. They were testing her, gauging the truth of the rumors, and more importantly, assessing her usefulness. She surmised that their veiled intentions stemmed from her subjugation of Winterbane. Facing their expectant gazes, Ariel responded with unfeigned confidence. Is there something wrong with a princess who can't even speak eloquently? Warbane seemed taken aback by her words, prompting Ariel to elaborate dryly. Isn't that what you used to say about me? The weak Sogren. Ariel's sharp words momentarily flustered Warbane. That was because of Sogren. Ariel's expression darkened. I don't understand why you would say weak Sogren just because of Sogren. But with that sentiment in mind, go and apologize to the Duke first. As the words left her lips, Ariel's demeanor shifted, a friendly mask replacing the steely glint in her eyes, unsettling the vassals. Just then, another group of vassals appeared, echoing Ariel's sentiment. The princess is right. You must apologize for your past transgressions. Knowing these were loyal vassals, Ariel offered a conciliatory gesture. Let's go to the reception room. Deference being the better part of valor, the vassals readily agreed to Ariel's suggestion. Entering the room, one of the well-meaning vassals spoke with heartfelt relief. Thank goodness the princess has awakened safely. How is your health now? Ariel replied with a smile. I'm quite well. Her attitude towards these vassals was markedly different from those in the previous encounter. She needed to observe them carefully. They were the future foundation upon which Sogren would be rebuilt. Suddenly, Ariel's gaze fell upon a pile of gifts on the table. What are those? The vassal explained they were gifts to celebrate her swift recovery. Ariel's face fell. Though she appeared to be a 4-year-old, her mind held the maturity of 14. These gifts were inappropriate. With a sigh, she cast a pleading look at Lily, but the maid, misinterpreting her look, cheerfully presented her with a stuffed bear. At that moment, a bearded vassal spoke calmly. I have something I wish to give to the princess personally. Glancing at the object in the vassal's hand, Ariel guessed it was a dagger. The vassal confirmed her suspicion. This is a dagger for self-defense. It might be a bit dangerous now, but you can keep it until you learn swordsmanship. Hearing this, Ariel felt a surge of happiness, not just for receiving such a beautiful weapon, but also because she understood its deeper meaning. The gift of a weapon bearing the Creston family crest was a pledge of loyalty. After a while, the conversation ended and the vassals began to depart, leaving only a middle-aged woman behind. Ariel recognized her as Lady Isis Mayer, the head of the Mayer family and her grandmother. Her perpetually impassive face had always intimidated Ariel, so much so that in her previous life, she had never spoken to her. Even in this life, Ariel initially assumed Lady Mayer disapproved of her shortcomings. More than anything, the way her mother had left created a vast distance between them. Now, Lady Isis Mayer rose and bowed, saying, "Then, I pray for the princess's safety under the protection of the barrier." Seeing her grandmother about to leave, an indescribable urgency welled up within Ariel. She knew if she didn't speak now, she might never have another chance. Driven by a desperate longing to ask about her mother, Ariel reached out and grasped Lady Isis's skirt. As she met her grandmother's flickering gaze, her mind suddenly went blank, rendering her speechless. Seeing her granddaughter's bewildered expression, Isis sat down and said gently, "I'm so relieved the princess is safe. I'm truly happy to see you like this again." Touched by her words, Ariel replied, "I'm glad too." Suddenly, in an unguarded moment, Lady Isis Mayer murmured, "She really does resemble her." The word struck Ariel like a thunderbolt. If she understood correctly, the implication was that she looked very much like her mother, Isis's daughter. The mention of her daughter brought a shadow of grief across Isis's face, and she said softly, "It's just an old woman's rambling." With that, Ariel watched her back as she walked away. A few days later, news spread throughout the north about an accident that befell Blunt during his transport to the capital for trial. As Ariel descended the stairs, she overheard a group of maids discussing Blunt's death. Listening to their conversation, Ariel became convinced that someone had orchestrated Blunt's demise. If the Emperor had wanted him silenced, he would have eliminated the coachman and guards as well, but miraculously, the guards had survived. Therefore, Ariel suspected the culprit might be an enemy seeking revenge, or perhaps it truly was divine punishment from the god Shay. Even so, she didn't dwell on Blunt's death, believing he had gotten what he deserved. Her current worry was her father's condition. Soon, Ariel found herself once again outside Duke Solgrim's chambers. As usual, she persisted, asking, "Kian, can I see father today either?" Despite her pleading gaze, Kian remained unmoved, replying coldly, "I'm sorry, no." Ariel hung her head in disappointment. It had been a week since she awoke, and her father still refused to see her. It was as if he were deliberately avoiding her. Suddenly, that mysterious voice echoed in her ears again. "My dear, do you still not know why the Duchess left the territory?" Before her rebirth, Tilly had told Ariel the reason for her mother Lytrix's departure from the castle, claiming the Duchess had betrayed Duke Sogrin, running away one night with another man. She had also stolen Snowflake, a treasured heirloom passed down through generations. High society had been scandalized. Back then, Ariel hadn't believed it, but every time her father distanced himself from her, she wondered, what if Tilly's words were true? Even her grandmother had hinted that Ariel strongly resembled her mother. Fear coiled in Ariel's heart, the fear that the rumors were true, that her father avoided her because she reminded him of her mother. Standing outside his room, Ariel spoke, "Father, I know everything now." As she wrestled with the tangled thoughts in her mind, a vassal bearing a prominent family crest suddenly appeared, gazing at her with an intense, almost unsettling look. Ariel froze, stiff as a statue. A blood-curdling scream ripped from her throat, echoing through the entire manor. Kian, the Duke's aide, and a maid, fearing the worst, rushed to the scene. Ariel, her face drained of color, trembled. To her surprise, her father, Duke Solgrim, burst through his door, his face etched with worry. "Ariel, Ivy, what's wrong? Why did you scream like that? I thought something terrible had happened." Ariel stared at her father in astonishment. Once it was clear there was no immediate danger, Kian intervened. "Your Grace, please allow me to handle this. You are unwell. You must rest." The Duke retreated back to his chambers. Terrified of being separated from her father again, Ariel, in a surge of emotion, darted forward and clung to his leg. "Wait, father, I need to talk to you." Tears streamed down Ariel's face. Words seemed to catch in her throat, choked by sobs. Broken phrases tumbled out. I've been waiting. So scared. Alone. Don't leave me." The Duke was taken aback by his daughter's outburst. He gently bent down to comfort her, and Ariel poured out her worries and complaints, crying until exhaustion claimed her. Her father carried her back to her room. Gazing at her sleeping form, Duke Solgrim berated himself. What is there to like about such an inadequate father? Ariel slept soundly. Lily, her maid, voiced the words Ariel held dear. "She loves everything about you, Your Grace. Just as you love her, Ariel loves you with all her heart. It's only natural," Lily continued, her voice earnest. "The bond between parent and child." She pleaded with the Duke to spend more time with his daughter. Duke Solgrim sighed softly. It was what he longed to do, yet couldn't. "If only I could truly spend more time with her," he thought wistfully. Another morning dawned, and Ariel finally awoke. Remembering her tearful outburst, shame washed over her. She had not only called her father a bad person, but had cried like a fool, unable to articulate her feelings. She had assumed her father's change was because of her, but seeing him yesterday, she realized it wasn't about her at all. He was burdened by something he couldn't express. However, the fact that he had rushed out at her scream brought a flicker of comfort. He truly did care. Yet, his continued refusal to see her baffled her. After tossing and turning, Ariel returned to her self-reproach. If only she hadn't left him for Albion. But ultimately, willpower was crucial for his recovery, meaning she had to make him want to get out of bed. With this thought, Ariel jumped out of bed, grabbing paper and pen. Crying like last time would get her nowhere. A letter would be better. She would forbid him from locking his door. If something happened inside, it would be disastrous. He also had to get 30 minutes of sun each day, walk twice, and avoid overexertion. Finished, Ariel hurried off to find Kian to deliver the letter. On the way, she overheard Kian speaking with a maid. It seemed something had happened in the manor due to lax management. She heard mention of staff shortages and the difficulty of hiring new help. Ariel realized things were worse than she thought, though this was common in the Northern Territories. But Sullivan's financial difficulties were long-standing and particularly severe. Transportation was unstable, agricultural yields suffered in the harsh climate, and the mining rights for most resources were held by the crown. Most importantly, because this was the territory ruled by the emperor's half-brother. If an avalanche truly occurred this winter, not only would there be casualties, but all roads would be completely blocked until spring arrived. Soberon's financial situation would undoubtedly worsen. It seemed that if she wanted to prevent the avalanche, Ariel had to learn how to control Winterbane as soon as possible, but her father certainly wouldn't allow it. Her side didn't escape Kian's sharp intuition. He turned around immediately after finishing his task and asked, "My lady, what are you doing there?" Ariel, caught a little too quickly, poked her head out and gave an embarrassed smile. "How did you know, Kian?" Kian then replied, "You seem to have forgotten the fact that I am of the heteromorphic race. I can hear from a distance." Ariel understood immediately. She handed the letter she had written to Kian, asking him to deliver it to her father. Kian looked at the paper with a puzzled expression. "What is this letter for?" Ariel replied, "It's for my father, so you can't look." Kian agreed to deliver the letter, and Lily, the maid, quickly ushered Ariel back to her room, rather than letting her wander around the manor in her nightclothes. Before returning to her room, Ariel looked back and saw Kian entering her father's room, and she felt relieved. She didn't understand why she had to write a letter when she could just open the door and see him face to face. It's like a comedy, Ariel thought with a headache. Aside from improving his health, was there nothing her father could do to get out and about? If it was convenient, she couldn't have her father fall ill and suddenly have a heart attack. Just then, a brilliant idea struck her. What if she could solve Soberon's financial difficulties? She couldn't just wait for her father to take direct action against the emperor. She had to strengthen the territory's power. In addition to preparing for a possible war, storing food was essential, so funds were more important than anything. Ariel thought to herself that she had to make money first. She had to repair Soberon Castle. Kian alone wasn't enough to take care of her father. If she wanted to do this, she had to first find out how much debt the territory had. Perhaps the financial documents were in the archives of her father's office. Having Kian look into it probably wouldn't work, not to mention the last incident with the vault. But even so, Ariel wouldn't give up easily. She had to find a way to take advantage of Kian's absence. Meanwhile, Kian was receiving guests on behalf of the Duke. Rix and Ross, the heads of the 4th Imperial Chamber of Commerce branch, had come to demand repayment. Kian calmly replied, "You've come suddenly without prior notice. May I ask why?" Ross was uncomfortable with Kian's nonchalant attitude, but held back and answered, "Because I heard the obituary of the Bronte family. After Hobel Bronte's death, some of Salgrain's businesses had lost their center of gravity and begun to falter. Ross, in particular, had invested heavily in the Beat project led by Bronte, so he couldn't just let it go. Even so, Kian hadn't expected him to suddenly come here to demand repayment ahead of schedule. After a moment of thought, Kian tactfully refused. "You should know that beets can only be planted in the spring. If you want it now." Ross immediately replied, "Of course, I know that the head of the Bronte family would sell the beets next August and repay our investment with those profits." He rummaged through his bag and pulled out a piece of paper, continuing, "But it will be faster if you just look at this directly." Kian examined the paper. It was a special contract. If Brontes can't continue this project, Rix and Ross, the investor, declared, his voice laced with authority, the refund date can be moved up. "As one of the 4 great chambers of commerce of the empire, I've invested heavily in this project, and I won't let my money simply disappear." He used this as leverage to press his demands. Ross planned to return in March of the following year, expecting the matter to be resolved satisfactorily by then. Ariel, searching for an opportunity to enter the office, overheard this conversation by chance. A jolt of shock ran through her. Seeing Kian escorting the guests into the drawing room, she realized her chance had finally come. She had noticed Kian's unusually pale complexion earlier that day, which had prompted her to eavesdrop from the next room. In short, Hobel Brontes had taken out a loan secured against the projected income from sugar beet sales, and this loan had to be repaid by March. No matter how she looked at it, the deadline was impossibly tight, as the beets wouldn't even be planted until May. Moreover, from her past life, Ariel clearly remembered hearing that the sugar beet venture in the north had failed due to a fungal disease. So even if the project went ahead, it would only result in further losses. Unable to resolve the debt problem in her mind, and having grasped the general situation, Ariel slipped into the office to search for a solution while Kian was occupied. Ariel's hurried footsteps didn't escape Kian's sharp ears, but he wasn't particularly worried about her peeking at the ledgers in her father's office. She discovered the debt amounted to a staggering 4 million Belcam, while the annual income of the Sogran territory was only 1 million. The debt was equivalent to 4 years' worth of the territory's income. It was fortunate Sogran hadn't collapsed already. Come to think of it, Kian had been single-handedly managing Sogran's finances for her ailing father. It seemed Kian was more capable than she had initially thought. After some calculations, Ariel realized, with a slight sense of relief, that the amount due to Ross by March was 500,000 Belcam. Her gaze fell upon a bookshelf in the room, sparking an idea. This debt, for the time being, could be managed. On the bookshelf sat a beautiful statuette of a snow deer. She recalled hearing that in the small town of Campa, west of Beloit, impoverished wandering artists had begun to congregate, drawn by the relatively lenient tax laws of the territory. Over time, Campa had become a city any aspiring artist had to pass through. But not every artist in Campa achieved fame. Ariel immediately penned a letter to a still unknown, impoverished painter named Celia Sunfield. At this point in her life, Celia wasn't yet a recognized painter, merely an apprentice, so she couldn't believe anyone would write to her. But the postman insisted the address was correct. The letter, adorned with elegant decorations, carried the faint scent of nobility. The letter read, "To the painter Celia Sunfield, my master wishes to commission a painting from you. I have enclosed a small gift as a token of encouragement. If you agree, please address your reply to Princess Ivriel of Sogran and send it back as soon as possible. Signed, Lily Belgreen." The handwriting was childishly clumsy, yet the phrasing suggested someone of high standing. The enclosed gift was a bottle of paint, a remarkably rare shade of blue. Celia had never seen such a high-quality pigment, even during her time as a studio assistant. She quickly called the postman back, asking him where the package had come from. The postman replied that it was from the Sogran Manor. Before the postman could leave, Celia whispered the name to herself. Her heart swelled with a mixture of emotions she couldn't quite articulate. Meanwhile, back at the Sogran Manor, Ariel eagerly surmised that the letter might have already reached the painter by now. Magic stone, a mineral found only in Sogran, was a dull blue rock, deemed worthless in its raw form. However, a poverty-stricken painter had once ground it into pigment, revealing its true value. When the white mineral powder was filtered through water and melted, it transformed into a breathtaking blue. Thus, Phantom Blue was discovered, leaving its mark on Ballington's art history. This time, Ariel had prepared in advance. Because she had to make these preparations without Lily's knowledge, it had taken considerable time. Even if she had to wait until after midwinter for a reply, she was certain she would receive one. For if the recipient were a true painter, they couldn't possibly remain indifferent upon seeing that color. Moreover, Celia had been the one to discover Phantom Blue in her past life. In fact, in the past, Celia had poured her heart and soul into creating her masterpiece, Dawn of Campa, which had caused a sensation across the continent. But due to the inherent envy in people's hearts, Celia had helplessly watched as her teacher stole the Phantom Blue pigment. She hadn't dared to speak out, powerless to do anything. Her life, worsened by the despair of losing her own invention, led her to bid farewell to the world. She had ended her own life, but the matter hadn't ended there. From then on, Dawn of Campa became both Celia's masterpiece and her legacy. This time, however, the young girl was determined to save the ill-fated genius. As luck would have it, she had seen Celia's paintings while in the Queen's company. Just as she was pondering these things with an adult-like seriousness, someone called for her. If it wasn't Lily looking for her, it could only be one person. A distinct anticipation bloomed on the radiant young princess's face. The little girl rushed to open the door for this special someone, her haste worrying her close maid. "Princess, please don't run." When she flung the door open, the first people Ariel Sogran encountered were not her father, but the Iron Guard and the court knights. Before they could even finish their greeting, Princess, it is a pleasure to—" The door slammed shut with a resounding thud. The knights, bewildered, exchanged glances. Jed, surprised, asked, "What was that about?" Ariel, sobering, utterly perplexed, turned to Lily. "Why are there people outside I've never seen before? It seems they've come by order of the king. I heard the knights were sent by the Duke to escort you." Ariel's confusion deepened. "We already have, albeit small, knight squad. Why would father send them to escort me?" Lily explained that a knight's salary was considerably higher than a regular guard's, hence the increased presence of the night watch. It stood to reason that if the Knight Legion was sending escorts, they must be stretched thin elsewhere. Just then, a voice called from outside, "Princess, we apologize for our intrusion," followed by a polite request. "If you don't mind, may we introduce ourselves?" Their sincerity compelled the young girl to relent. "Fine," she conceded, allowing the knight's entry. With her permission granted, they opened the door and entered. "We apologize for our intrusion." They were clearly an elite unit, more thoroughly trained than her usual guard, evident in their impeccably neat appearance. The white uniforms with blue trim instantly identified them as Sovereign's White Squadron. Ariel had heard of them before. Their professionalism and respect for protocol were indeed impeccable. Even though the princess was but a child, they bowed respectfully and introduced themselves. With a calm demeanor, the leader presented himself and his companions with a dignified air. "This is Lord Orenlentz, and this red-haired gentleman is Lord Jed. From now on, these two will take turns protecting the princess." Ariel thought, incredulously, "You assign me 2 guards just as winter approaches. Unbelievable." A prickle of unease replaced any sense of enjoyment. This felt less like protection and more like surveillance. Jed, too, was pondering. Why did Master Kian scrutinize the night squad so carefully after meeting the princess? This must be the reason. It was certainly surprising, as Kian hadn't seemed the type to be fond of anything remotely cute before. Jed leaned down, squinting at the small girl. "Say, a kid like this," he began rudely, only to be smacked by his colleague for his disrespect towards the princess. She looked as though she might topple over with a mere touch. Clamping a hand on Jed's neck, the leader addressed Ariel. "Allow me to inform the princess of today's schedule. Jed will be escorting you today, miss. This lad is new to the squad and still has much to learn. I hope you will pardon his blunders, princess, but should he behave out of line, please inform me immediately." Released from his superior's grip, Jed whined pathetically. "Commander, aren't you being a bit too cautious with me?" The commander sighed. "Yes, well, I believe Master Kian has his reasons." He then bowed to the young girl. "Then we shall take our leave, princess. May you have a safe day under the night squad's protection." With everyone else gone, Jed offered a smile. "Yes, I look forward to working with you, princess." Ariel, who had sensed a peculiar energy emanating from him from the start, spoke up. "Master Jed, perhaps you are different from the others." Surprise flickered across Jed's face. How could the little princess say such a thing? She was far more perceptive than he'd anticipated. In truth, having endured much prejudice in the past, he didn't hesitate to explain. "Did you know, princess, my energy level is lower than even a half-blood's. I'm a quarter." Ariel Salgrain offered an awkward smile. Based on overheard conversations, even without being particularly perceptive, she knew that most members of the White Squad were of mixed heritage. They were a different species, superior to humans in many ways, especially because they possessed a more pleasing appearance than any of the northern squads. The White Squad boasted a considerable number of admirers and supporters. Seeing the little princess lost in thought, Jed mused, "As a different species and a different kind of knight, there's something that's been on my mind." Intrigued by the little princess's contemplation, Jed asked with a smile, "What animal do you think runs in my blood?" "But why me?" Lily thought with an inward, awkward chuckle, finding the whole situation rather amusing. Jed continued to tease the young girl. "Because it'll be fun, won't it, princess?" He even attempted to charm her with his looks, flashing a confident, dazzling smile. "Of course it's me." Ariel Salgrain, however, simply found him to be rather eccentric and impossible to get along with. Yet, a few days later, the two seemed to have found a strange harmony. Jed chatted and played with the princess with ease. During a card game, he urged her to pick a card quickly. Ariel Salgrain, sweating, racked her brain, tried to strategize. Suddenly, she snatched a card. "Blast it!" she cried, while Jed laughed triumphantly. "Oh dear, my lady, I suppose your intuition was too good. You picked the Joker." Since I won, you can't go to the Duke's room again, right? Ariel, still not giving up, tried to reason. There must be something going on. Lily, sitting nearby, shook her head with a sigh. My lady, you should pay more attention to the game. Seeing this, Ariel fumed. Stop laughing. This isn't chess. Her frustration grew. What is going on? I haven't been able to enter father's room for days. Even if she wanted to enter, the knights standing guard at the door would stop her. Your Highness, you cannot enter the Duke's room. Ariel, in a strangely resentful tone, asked what? Why? Unfortunately, it was the Duke's order, so no matter how pitiful she appeared in his eyes, she still couldn't go in. Her frustration grew. What's going on? I haven't been able to enter father's room for days. Ariel turned and threatened him. The person who visits my father's room every day keeps refusing me entry. Of course, she had also tried sneaking in a few times, but she couldn't fool the well-trained knights. After being caught multiple times, Jed suggested they make a wager instead of him constantly blocking her. He proposed that if she could beat him at least once in a card game, he would definitely take Ariel to see the Duke. It seemed suspicious. She asked, and what if I lose? He replied with an innocent expression. Then you'll have to give up on seeing the Duke, of course. But after observing and investigating, Ariel finally discovered the reason why her father had been reluctant to see her, though the full truth only came out later. Ariel used the tears of a pitiful child to try and sway him, crying and wailing. Even with the traces of touching winter branches, this was too much. She sent a message to her father, but still received no reply. Resentment flickered across Ariel's face. Seeing that flicker of resentment, Jed inwardly broke into a cold sweat. Oh dear, I laughed too hard. Regardless, Ariel was still determined to see the Duke. This feeling of déjà vu was incomprehensible. A strange feeling crept over Ariel, as if she had seen this person somewhere before, even recognizing the familiar hem of his clothing and a particular scent. And he was missing an arm. Puzzled, she immediately asked Jed if he knew of any trained knights in the White Squadron missing their left arm. He seemed a little surprised at the question, as such a characteristic, a trained knight missing a left arm, would usually be quite noticeable. After thinking for a long time, Jed firmly said no, because if they had someone like that, having only one arm would mean they couldn't properly wield a sword. Suddenly, he reconsidered. But I'm not sure about the guards. I haven't heard of any special cases, though. That made it even stranger. Ariel asked Jed again if he was sure, reiterating her certainty that the man was part of the knighthood. The more she looked, the more suspicious it seemed. Ariel turned to Jed and asked what day it was. He confidently replied that today was the 30th and tomorrow was midwinter. Upon hearing this, Ariel, for reasons Jed couldn't understand, suddenly ran off, leaving him to frantically follow after her. Your Highness. Ariel ran to the window to check outside, as if to confirm it was truly winter, then exclaimed, "Oh my, why is it today? Of all days, it's midwinter. Before I retired, there was a boy missing his left arm and his younger sister. Because a group of monsters moved south, he braved the snowy weather and used all his strength to bring that child back to the manor. Surprisingly, looking at that pitiful face, the boy, only a few years old, had an icy gaze in his eyes. The young princess recognized him and quickly ran off to check the current situation. Before going out, she needed to choose a warm coat, so she urged her maid, "We need to hurry, Lily. Can you get my winter boots from my room?" Lily asked if she was planning to go outside. The looks on both Lily and Jed's faces clearly showed their desire to stop her impulsive action in the midwinter weather. Jed exclaimed, "A blizzard is coming. Even someone as strong as Lord Aaron can't move freely in the northern blizzard, let alone a child like her, who would surely be blown away like a piece of paper." But he didn't understand why she had suddenly decided to go out like this. Worried about her mistress, Lily offered to go in her place, wanting to know the reason. Ariel urged them on, because but who was the he the woman spoke of? No one knew who she meant. Her distress was too overwhelming. Ariel gradually forgot the presence of Jed and Lily. Suddenly, a wave of self-consciousness washed over her. The thrill of her earlier excitement curdled into a vague sense of wrongdoing, and she floundered, unsure how to explain herself to her guards. Jed wondered what would become of anyone caught out in such brutal weather. He had promised to stay by her side, yes, but did she truly intend to venture out alone to rescue those stranded? Sensing the tension thickening in the air, Lily, Ariel's maid, offered reassurance. There is no need for undue worry, she explained. Before midwinter, all outposts restricted travel and prepared for such emergencies. The Northern Defense Force was on patrol, and the alert level was significantly raised. Since the guards only conducted limited searches around the outposts and cleared roads, Ariel suggested they request a more thorough search. Jed was taken aback. Why would she ask such a thing? Fearful of revealing her true intentions, Ariel stammered, offering the excuse that she couldn't bear the thought of anyone being hurt. But her every expression, her entire demeanor, was an open book, especially to the keen eyes of a knight like Jed. He found her sudden concern peculiar. He feigned understanding, but his strangely intense gaze made her acutely uncomfortable. Regret gnawed at her. Had she planned this better, she would have learned how to handle the winter branch by now. Venturing out in this weather was sheer folly. Midwinter at the manor presented no small challenge. The weather was so fierce it gave even the knights pause. Confined as she was, just as Jed had insisted, Ariel sat huddled in a corner, turning everything over in her mind. If Jed left his post to hunt the beast, the manpower shortage would be critical. Understaffed and facing such a storm, her thoughts drifted back to a Salago, found near death by the lakeside, discovered by knights returning to the castle. The manor clinic was overflowing, forcing Evan to personally transport the patients to the castle. For treatment, yes, but that meant he couldn't stray far. Without further hesitation, Ariel resolved to use her power to address the situation. The withered winter branch was proving difficult. She wanted to shrink it, conceal it from everyone. According to what Ariel had heard, a door needed to be opened. The winter branch had to be used no matter the cost. Ariel had to try every possibility. Attempting the same method as before, Ariel focused on the dimension beyond the door, and a strange presence manifested once more. Lost in thought, the young princess seemed to sense something within that space. A sudden, intense flash of light erupted. A blizzard raged. A boy clutched his sister close, shielding her from the biting snow. "Kenya, are you asleep?" His legs were heavy, weary from trudging through the deep drifts of this harsh midwinter. Perhaps the boy was simply too resilient, driven by the need to protect his sister. He tried to rouse her, dreaming of a new world. A place where those of mixed heritage wouldn't be ostracized. Yes, a place where they could find a home filled with hope. He didn't know if this was a dream or reality, but he yearned for it to be true. He remembered his mother's words to him, to Assel, "Even if I'm not there, please take care of your sister." And so, Assel whispered to himself, "Don't worry, mother. I'll protect Kenya, no matter the cost. We just have to hold on until we find somewhere safe for Kenya." But before that fragile hope could take root, it was snuffed out by monstrous shapes emerging from the swirling snow. A pack of wolves, appearing as if from nowhere, surrounded the two small figures. Faced with these beasts, Assel braced himself, desperate to escape. They charged towards Assel. He didn't know what would happen, but he ran forward anyway. Even if he didn't survive, he had to protect Kenya at all costs. Even if he fell, it wouldn't matter. It seemed as though everything would end here. But somehow, something appeared. A warm light shone before Assel's eyes, startling the boy. Someone had appeared, saving Assel's life. The light was both warm and strange. Assel couldn't believe his eyes. Unsure of what was happening, he wondered if he was already dead. Who was this person? The sound of a bipedal creature running towards him reached his ears. The person suddenly shouted, "I finally found you." Whoever it was, to Assel, this person was undoubtedly the savior of both his and his sister's lives. Assel looked at the blurry figure, wondering who could be so beautiful. Ariel approached Assel, repeatedly asking if he was all right. "Are you hurt?" She, too, sensed something strange. Another bright light flashed from the door. Ariel snapped back to reality. The winter twig had indeed shrunk in size. Now Ariel could open the door herself. She was a little surprised, not understanding who was speaking. "This is the third time we've talked, but you're surprised every time." She felt a flicker of panic. It was the voice that had spoken to her before, but she didn't know who it belonged to. Could you be the winter twig? Ariel asked herself. But has this small twig already become a part of me? Ariel had learned about this strange phenomenon from an ancient book she'd found in the manor library. But because this was the first time it had spoken, there was no record of it. Ariel had heard that spirits were quite friendly toward humans. Long ago, when she bestowed power upon humanity, which seeped into the earth, mysterious beings known as spirits were born. They fought monsters to protect her land, but sometimes they also made contracts with humans to help them. But before this, she had never heard of any contract between a winter spirit and the Salgrains. It was strange that the winter twig could talk to her. Ariel wondered, if that were the case, could she call him Winter? The twig replied, Winter is a suitable word to call me, but it's best not to because a name holds many meanings it carries. What would you think when you look stronger? The twig answered with interest, that's right. If you call me Winter, I will have enough power to live up to the name, but it's hard to explain, so don't try to understand it. The twig suddenly asked the little girl, what is the weakest creature you know? Without a second thought, she replied, a butterfly, because butterflies are beautiful creatures. That's a perfect name. Suddenly, just as she interrupted, the light emanating from the twig flickered, becoming unbearable for Ariel, forcing her to close her eyes. In an instant, he told her to open her eyes now and see what surprise awaited. Look, little one, the ears look quite nice because of the new name. He had transformed into a swarm of butterflies glittering in the night sky. Overwhelmed with excitement, Ariel exclaimed, it's so beautiful. Winter, didn't I just tell you? Why so suddenly? The naive little girl asked if it would get colder when he appeared. Ariel, are you feeling cold because of my temperature? Because your body has a limit to how long it can withstand my materialized form. But this is also dangerous because an ordinary human body, especially a child's body like yours, cannot withstand the cold air for long. Ariel realized that this was why she felt so cold. By the way, I have a favor to ask you, Butterfly. It was a request, and upon hearing it, he immediately offered his help if it were within his power. And so, Ariel made her plea. I want to stop this snow and storm. Was it too much to ask? He didn't say whether he could or not, only replying, since you're leaving anyway, do as you wish. Unexpectedly, the withered twig helped her through the door, where she found Assel and his sister once more. She hurried to them, asking if they were all right. The boy didn't say a word, only held his sister close and stared intently at her. It was that warm smile that melted Assel's frozen heart. A kind-hearted girl offered to help them. Luckily, she hadn't arrived too late. But suddenly, Ariel collapsed, causing Assel to panic, repeatedly asking, hey, are you all right? Ariel began to breathe weakly, her body icy cold, which only deepened Assel's confusion and worry. Ariel again thought to herself, what should she do now? In this condition, could she move with the two of them? At the very least, they needed to find a suitable place to build a fire. Lost in thought, she suddenly heard a shout from the manor. I found her. Everyone, come here. Everyone rushed towards them, alerted by the princess's appearance. Heavens, bring all the remaining blankets. There are children here. Hurry. In her unconscious state, she could feel everyone urgently calling her name. Assel wondered, puzzled, how could the person lying in his arms possess such a noble identity? Why did everyone address her as Miss? He hadn't realized she came from such a high station. This was his savior, the one to whom he owed his safety. They were then all brought inside the manor. As she rested, trying to warm up, two servants talked incessantly. Kian had already gone to inform him, so he would likely be here soon. As for Ariel, she had fallen into a deep sleep, but her body was still enveloped in a chilling cold. She felt this was 4 times worse than facing the consequences of Horville. Even so, feeling her own condition, she was grateful she had saved those children, thanks to the winter twig that opened the door. Father, but he was still ill. Ariel didn't understand why the winter twig said he was ill. Did it clearly know what ailment he suffered from? The twig then transformed back into the shape of a butterfly. Suddenly, a warm hand appeared from somewhere, touching her. He abruptly stopped, sensing something was amiss. He immediately called out to the servants, Evan, bring the brazier as close to the bed as possible. Her body is gripped by the cold. Ariel's eyes fluttered open to see that it was her father. His face was pale, etched with worry. Remembering her father's earlier warning about the dangers of using the winter twig, guilt washed over Ariel. Not only had she disobeyed him, but she had also caused him so much trouble. He spoke gently to Ariel. "It's all right. We've brought all the warming stones in the castle to this room, so we'll warm up soon." Though unable to speak due to her condition, Ariel desperately wanted to apologize to her father. He felt it was dreadful. Her body temperature was still slowly dropping, so he could only instruct the servants to add as much wood to the fireplace as possible. Evan, Lily had just appeared with food, but he stopped her, telling her to quickly fetch water. He would feed the child himself. Then, carefully, he fed her spoonful by spoonful. He was incredibly anxious, telling himself and praying to God that nothing would happen to her. Seeing her father so worried, Ariel longed to reassure him, but the cold had rendered her speechless, her mouth too stiff to form words. If this continued, the little girl might freeze to death, so Ariel focused her mind on anything warm. Imagine, on a scorching summer day, a fireplace roaring with a cheerful blaze, a glass of warm milk, and freshly baked bread. The fire crackled, radiating warmth, because she lay nestled securely in her father's embrace. Her fever had broken significantly. Seeing Ariel's temperature fall as she rested completely within his arms, a wave of relief washed over him as a father. After her fever subsided, he carefully laid the small girl on the bed, meticulously instructing the servants to attend to her. Even the physician, who had just examined Ariel's condition, breathed a sigh of relief. Now that all was well, her temperature returned to normal, and they could finally rest easy. Ariel could finally sleep soundly. Herwin, watching over his little princess, felt a surge of pride and gratitude for the servants he had chosen for his child. They had been through so much. But suddenly, he wanted to hear what had transpired. Startled, Lily reported that at first, the young miss had suddenly proposed going outside, believing there might be people trapped in the blizzard and in need of rescue. But I warned her that the weather was too severe and that it could be dangerous. My miss quickly understood. She wanted to go out again to search, but then I hurried after her, and by the lakeside in the forest, we found those children. Then she suddenly collapsed. The young physician, realizing something unusual had occurred, asked, did she use the winter twig? Herwin was deeply worried. To use the winter twig, one had to possess magical power, and to control that power, one had to open the gate. Astonishingly, she had opened the gate herself at such a young age. But to wield such immense power with only one gate open was almost inconceivable. It could have been too much for her. Lily, filled with fear and remorse, addressed the Duke. Regardless, this is my fault for not taking proper care of the young miss. She bowed, admitting her mistake and willing to accept any punishment he deemed appropriate. Duke Herwin truly understood the situation and didn't blame her. It truly wasn't Lily's fault. He felt a renewed pang of regret, believing it was all his fault. If his health had been better, Ariel wouldn't have rushed to retrieve the winter twig, nor would she have used it so recklessly today. The Duke suddenly remembered the children who had been brought back and inquired about their condition to the physician. By the way, how are the children Ivriel saved? The physician then reported that both of them had been in dire condition, but were now safe and receiving treatment. The two children are siblings from different races. There's something peculiar about them, so Lord Kian will investigate once they awaken. Herwin was surprised to hear about the races. The physician added that the children might be of pure blood lineage. While appearing like ordinary humans, the two children carried the most powerful bloodline of the beast folk, commonly referred to as purebloods. As their kind began to integrate into human society, they had now become exceedingly rare. The Duke wondered if Ariel had known beforehand that those children needed help, or if she had stumbled upon them by chance due to the power of the winter twig. If so, it was a terrifying thought. But if that were the case, it was even stranger. It seemed too coincidental, so perhaps it was just chance. Then, the Duke promptly dismissed them both. After everyone had left the room, Herwin, sitting by his little princess's bedside, discovered a strange note. Unfolding the note, he found it appeared to be a letter written to him by Ariel. Suddenly, Herwin noticed something odd inside. What is this? All right, there are steps here. Never lock the door. This is very important. Make sure to open the curtains every day for at least 30 minutes of sun. This is also very important. Third, take a walk at least once. The Duke realized his child had been looking out for him. She's been pondering this arrangement for a long time, and she truly hasn't grasped the weight of what I've done for her. But seconds later, the Duke suddenly noticed something on the last line of the letter. The child had written that she loved him as always. It turned out the Duke had misunderstood his daughter all along. He asked Kian, "What should I do now? Just because I haven't spent much time with her, I wanted to keep my distance, but was that decision wrong?" He had believed that staying away from Ariel, severing their connection, was the only way to keep her safe. But he wondered when the last time was that he had told Ariel he loved her. He'd forgotten. How many times in the past had he held the child when she cried, refusing to stay with her tutors? Kian sensed the Duke's emotional state deteriorating. Although he told his guards he was fine, he was still trembling, and Kian felt him preparing some sort of sedative. Evan thought, he's using that dreadful sedative again. Ordinary sedatives ease the symptoms of seizures, but the medicine the Emperor used was meant to deliberately harm the body. It was meant to completely eradicate the energy of the seizures. Of course, it was for the young lady's sake, but it was terrifying. Then Evan suggested, "Let us take the young lady back to her room now." But the Duke disagreed. "Let her sleep in my room tonight." Then Evan left the room. Because of the sedative, this frail body would last at least a day. Just looking at his little daughter beside him made him feel more at ease. Herwin thought, even if someone calls me a coward for this, I don't care. And so it went until the next morning when Ariel, after a long sleep, had just woken up and felt the familiar ache of muscles tense from the cold. Ariel tried to sit up slowly and then found a large hand resting on her. The adult breathing beside her was her father. Looking closely, this was her father's room. This time, Ariel had woken up after only a day, but she wasn't sure if she had already been in her father's room for many days in a row. Ariel wondered, why did I wake up so quickly this time? She could have sworn she used more energy this time than the last. But come to think of it, it had been a long time since she had seen her father's face this close. The last time must have been when she was screaming at the door. Ariel thought, I mustn't miss this rare opportunity to admire that handsome face. Ariel used his hand as a pillow beneath her head. Such a rare opportunity was hard to come by, so she had to enjoy it properly before her father woke up. So close, she could hear his heartbeat. The light from the door frame streamed in, and the warm glow from the fireplace. Ariel wished she could continue sleeping beside her father like this. Just then, the Duke also suddenly opened his eyes and saw his little princess looking at him with sparkling eyes and a bright smile. Herwin said in surprise, Ariel, you're awake. Ariel managed a small smile and greeted her father. Good morning. Herwin gently stroked Ariel's head, his gesture making her a little bewildered. Oh, father. He wore a worried expression. Are you feeling better now? They said you might have had a fever last night. Ariel grew shy. Yes. However, Herwin didn't believe what she had just said. Then she suddenly exclaimed, It's wrong. I did everything wrong. Now I completely understand why you wouldn't let me use the winter twig. I will never disobey you again. Of course, there might be times when it's necessary. That is, when I'm older and there's no danger, I'll use it. So I apologize for making you worry. Suddenly, Herwin spoke softly. Lift your head, Ariel. I'm not blaming you. You stopped in the dead of winter and found those children in distress. Thanks to you, those two are safe now. Ariel suddenly brightened, remembering, right? Silico and her little sister. Herwin quickly reassured her. Yes, thanks to Ariel's healing, they're both safe. Which lead me to think, perhaps you need a magic tutor. At his words, Ariel was taken aback. Father thinks that if you're going to keep handling these sorts of situations, it wouldn't be bad to have the power to protect yourself. It's best to get used to it early. Ariel thought to herself, Father's words sound like he's worried I'll need to protect myself in the future. Still, it seems like they'll allow me to go outside in the winter now. Herwin spoke gently. Let's continue this discussion later. You're only 5 years old. If you know someone is in trouble, you should honestly explain the situation to those around you and ask for help. As punishment, you're not allowed to go outside for the next week. I hope you won't overdo things and will take good care of yourself. Do you have any objections? Ariel could only accept the punishment reluctantly. No, her obedience pleased Herwin, and he told her to return to her room. His dismissal left her a little disappointed. Oh no, I haven't seen Father in ages. Ariel hurried after him, calling out, Actually, I'm still not feeling well. He simply chuckled. All right, Father will be back soon. Suddenly, she crumpled to the floor. My leg just cramped up. I get seasick when Lily carries me, and I haven't been feeling well lately. Ariel laid it on thick. I think Father's bed is much more comfortable than mine. Just then, a voice called out, Your Grace, Kian is available. Please come in. I apologize, someone from Secampa visited a short while ago. Hearing the name, Herwin was quite surprised. Ariel was overjoyed. It seems Zelda has finally arrived in Sogalin. After a long journey, Zelda finally arrived at the Sogalin Manor. Sipping her tea, she thought, he asked me to wait a moment. When will he come? A little while later, Ariel arrived. You must have been waiting a long time. Her appearance startled Zelda. Ariel said cheerfully, I thought you would send a reply, but I didn't expect you to come see me in person. Lily softly reminded her, greet her properly. This is the princess of Sogalin. Zelda quickly rose and curtsied. Yes, may we find peace under your protection. This is Zelda. Ariel sat down gracefully. You may raise your head, Zelda. You must be tired. Please sit and relax. However, Zelda was still apprehensive. How did this little girl know about me and find me anyway? Ariel suddenly spoke. I imagine you must be surprised by this sudden request. Zelda didn't forget to admit, before this, I was just an apprentice. I've never taken on a commission. She meant that the master of the studio wouldn't allow her to take on work. Her words gave Ariel pause. Zelda Sunfield is a brilliant painter, famous for a single painting. Phantom Blue certainly caught Zelda's attention. But at the moment, she asked curiously, what kind of person is Zelda's master? Zelda revealed softly, he's a man who enjoys gambling. It seems my guess was right. He's just a gambler. So, what do you think about making your debut now? But do you really think I can? I really want to entrust this job to you, and I only have one request. As expected, this surprised Zelda greatly. That's preposterous. Can I use such high-quality paints? Ariel confirmed confidently, I'll provide everything you need and pay you any price you desire. In fact, I plan to start a pigment business soon. She immediately became excited. Please, entrust it to me. I'll do my very best. Ariel was pleased to hear this. All right, then let's sign a contract. Everything proceeding as planned. Zelda asked with a touch of anxiety. If it's all right, could I add one more condition? What condition? Ariel inquired, a flicker of apprehension in her eyes. If you don't mind, could I paint your portrait? Zelda's proposal caught Ariel by surprise. Yes, please, paint me, she agreed readily. Ariel's thoughts raced. In my past life, I had my portrait painted countless times in the Imperial Palace. And this is a request from someone who will become a renowned painter in the future. There's no harm in accepting. With a warm smile, she confirmed, yes, I would be delighted if you would paint all the pieces I commission. Zelda, practically vibrating with excitement, gave a little hop of joy at Ariel's agreement. Back in her own rooms, Ariel found herself wrestling with a different kind of emotion. It's good that the contract is signed, but it's mortifying how I left my father's room. Just then, Lily inquired softly, my dear, when did you practice your calligraphy? When did I arrange for the paints to be delivered? And how did that painter even know about the apprenticeship? Ariel hesitated, unwilling to confide in Lily just yet. Suddenly, a voice called from outside, my lady, it's Kian. Do you have a moment? I need to speak with you. Ariel responded immediately, of course, come in, Kian. He entered slowly, turning to Lily as he did. Could you excuse us for a moment? His request sent a wave of anxiety through Ariel. What's this atmosphere? Something feels off. It's all right, Lily. Wait outside, just as Kian asked. Yes, my lady. Once Lily had left, Ariel pressed him. So what did you want to say? Kian began. Actually, I've noticed recently that the documents in the office have been disturbed. Specifically, the day I went to the Ross shop. Ariel's mind flashed back to the day she had evaded both Lily and Kian. A wave of panic washed over her. A thief in the castle office. It wasn't me. Her unease grew. Does he know I was in there? No, it's impossible. I put everything back in its place after I reviewed the documents. He must be suspicious. I really don't know what you're talking about. She insisted, her heart pounding. Even a heart attack wouldn't have fazed Kian at that moment. He suddenly produced something from his pocket. He held out a strand of white hair. Even after finding this in between the documents, you still deny it. How could the ailing princess have been in the office? Was it perhaps from pulling your hair out in frustration? Kian's expression was now steely. In another scene, Jed spoke quietly to Kian. I taught her some card game rules, and she picked them up quickly. I heard our young lady wasn't so bright before the age of 4. But Kian immediately countered, there's no game board in the young lady's room. Jed then offered a casual guess, is that so? That's strange. Anyway, afterward, she suddenly looked out the window, and I abruptly heard that I had to go rescue the victims. Suspicion flickered in Kian's eyes. I don't think your request for Zed to expand the guard's search area was coincidental. So, I just want to hear your explanation about the tutor, the winter twig, and why you were looking into the manor's finances. How did you know there were children by the lake? And how did you manage to invite the apprentice to visit? Suddenly, everything seemed to be crashing down on Ariel. She was deeply worried. Kian wasn't just guessing. He was practically certain. Of course, like a child, she could try to feign innocence with tears. But more importantly, Kian was in charge of all the castle's operations, and the development of the Sogerland territory depended on his cooperation. Well, before I ask for your help, let me ask you a question. Kian, she said, a sly smile playing on her lips. Where did all the salary you've received go? As a matter of fact, I happened to come across the details of the staff salary payments in the office, and Kian's salary payments were quite frequent. Kian asked curiously, why are you suddenly asking about how I use my salary? Considering the intensity of Kian's work, his salary must be substantial, and indeed, he did receive a considerable sum. Ariel began, let me guess. The first time Captain Laura, Lord Aaron, and Lord Jed came to see me, all three of them addressed Kian by his name directly. Isn't that strange? Kian doesn't have a title. Although Kian was recruited directly from the 7th Knight's Order, his influence within the Order is truly significant. Secondly, Lord Jed and Lord Aaron belong to different races, so I'm guessing, Kian, you're actually secretly bribing members of different races, aren't you? Kian sighed and countered, you've really changed. We're helping those who have been illegally trafficked by their own people in the black market, giving them a chance at a free life. Ariel was incredulous. She had never imagined Kian would use his money to help others. She replied confidently, I'll answer, but before that, I have a proposition for Kian. What proposition? My debt to the Ross Company has to be paid in full by March, Kian said smugly. I'm guessing you need my help, and you must have conditions as well. She promptly offered. Yes, you must agree to 2 things. First, you can't ask me any questions. Second, you must keep my father's involvement in this a secret. However, Kian seemed calm. I'm Duke Salgren's direct aide, so I suppose I have another identity, the princess's secret aide. This left Ariel rather bewildered, saying it was a brave thing. But what if they refuse? He then confirmed, excellent, accept your proposal. Just hearing those words made her eyes light up. Kian thought to himself with a secret smirk, if it can't be stopped anyway, it's better to observe her actions. As long as she operates within my expectations, I can anticipate any situation. Regarding information about you, if Her Highness inquires, I have no choice but to answer everything. Now that we have everything arranged, I should take my leave. It's best to explain things to Lily beforehand. My dear, what would you do if I refuse this proposal? If anything happens, I can leave immediately and report to His Highness. Ariel admitted honestly, perhaps I would threaten Kian. Her response suddenly made him laugh, and seeing this, she couldn't hide her annoyance. As soon as he finished speaking, Kian left the room. Before leaving, he didn't forget to remind her, actually, there was no hair in that office at all. It was just fishing line. This confession left Ariel petrified. I've been caught. It's no big deal. Lily was furious when she found out. Kian, you're a liar. Ariel hesitated, then said, now, please tell me the answer to the previous question. It's like this, Butterfly. I apologize. Please let me sell your name. Winterwave was actually part of what was called Winter in ancient times. Winterbranch suddenly told me. I was shocked, but Winter told me to give a name, so I chose Butterfly. Ever since then, it's been saying that it's great, right? Lily said softly, I'm sorry, I really don't understand. Ariel explained cheerfully, I see, because I explained it too casually so you couldn't understand. Simply put, everything I've done so far is thanks to the advice Winterbranch gave me. Lily, excited by this, asked, then can I talk to Butterfly too? She immediately thought, I don't know either. Come to think of it, Winter seemed to know something about my father's illness. I have to ask him. She silently said in her heart, Butterfly, are you there? Butterfly, I have something to ask you. Butterfly, are you there? A sudden sound came from the fireplace. This immediately caught Ariel's attention, and Lily seemed to have heard it too. At that moment, someone arrived, surprising her. Aaron appeared seemingly out of nowhere. Is there anything I can help you with? I heard the sound of a door opening outside. Lord Aaron gave Lily a white cat. What was it? What was it for? Ariel watched curiously from below, wondering what the two of them were up to. She was taken aback by its cuteness when it suddenly leaped from Lord Aaron's hands. Perhaps it was seeking warmth from the chill of the hallway. Whose is it? Lily then revealed. Mr. Rasher said he was bringing a cat to catch mice last time. So that's it. Ariel was surprised to learn this, but a flicker of unease remained. I wasn't always afraid of mice. Actually, it started after the prince locked me in a wardrobe with the corpse of a dead mouse in my past life. I was in despair then. Please let me out, I cried, banging on the locked wardrobe door all night, but no one came. It wasn't until the next day that the servants found me. I didn't know then, but I understood when I grew up. The prince had his own reasons to hate me. After I entered the imperial palace as a replacement, a doll for the dead princess, the emperor's attention was all on me. From then on, the prince was raised by his foster mother until he was 10. Perhaps that's why he hated me back then. I didn't know then that it was almost impossible for the prince not to hate me. The horrific memory flashed through her mind, and only Lily's voice brought her back. I mean, the cat is just snuggling up to you. The cat rubbed against her leg slowly, and Ariel sat down gently beside it. This cat seems docile enough anyway. Of course, a cat this small isn't very good at catching mice yet. I'll go get some food from the kitchen. I'll be right back. She slowly picked it up. Hello, nice to meet you. My name is Ariel. What's your name? Oh, I see, no name tag. It seems he doesn't have a name yet. Can I give you a name? Its eyes held a reddish hue. Suddenly, its body glowed red. At the same time, Kian happened to run into Lily. Good afternoon, Miss Lily. Is that for you to eat? Lily immediately denied it. No, it's for the cat, the one Mr. Rasher brought to catch the mice. However, Kian had never heard of this. I've never brought a cat here. Lily was now confused. Then whose cat is it? Back with Ariel, the cat suddenly floated in the air. How can a cat fly? The moment I named it Ruby, its whole body emitted a light anyone could see. It doesn't seem like an ordinary cat. And what is this feeling? I seem to have formed a connection with the cat. This feeling is just like when I connected with Winter. Ariel then asked, "Are you a spirit too?" It immediately meowed, as if responding to her words. She seemed stunned. This is ridiculous. A spirit contract can't be this easy. Just then, Lily returned. Miss, I met Mr. Rasher on the way. This left Ariel unable to hide her confusion. The scene immediately startled Lily. What did you do after you named it Ruby? A light flashed, and then the cat started flying. Ariel was suspicious. Maybe it's possible, because this cat is a spirit. However, the maid thought, but you already have a spirit named Butterfly, right? At that moment, she was still thinking, I've been worried that Butterfly hasn't appeared, and now there's another cat spirit. I think I should study spirits. Is there any place where I can get some information? The maid suggested, how about the Winter Library? Finally, the two of them arrived at the library with Lord Aaron. Aaron turned slightly. Miss Jed didn't intentionally leave her post to hide from the monster that day, you know? Because we needed more knights on duty, she had no choice. Hearing this, Ariel gradually understood. Right, I heard Jed has been under observation. I'm fine, but discipline is important. I'm glad you understand, Lily. I was saying that because I was worried you might develop a negative impression of Jed later on. While I often bicker with him, I don't dislike him. I'm sure Jed would be happy to hear that. They arrived at the library. This is the entrance to the Winter Library. The Sogren Duchy has both a summer library and a winter library. But since winter lasts for half the year in Sogren, most people use the Winter Library. My lady, the weather was still relatively warm when you arrived. So this is your first time visiting the Winter Library, correct? Ariel immediately denied it. No, it hasn't been that long. I almost fell asleep there. Perhaps I visited in a past life, but this is certainly my first time in this one. I'm sure you'll like it here, my lady. This is the Winter Library. Ariel was taken aback by its scale. It's been a while since I've been here. There should be a librarian here, but I don't see them. I'll go look for them. You can look around with Lord Aaron. She spoke to the cat as she walked away. Ruby, this is your first time here, right? I heard Mother loved this place as well. Lily had told her the Duchess was fond of the library. The Winter Library faces south, so she enjoyed sitting by the window and basking in the sun. In my past life, after I learned about Mother, every time I came here, I would imagine her time spent here, the books she read. Sometimes I would lie down on that sofa and fall asleep. Ariel suddenly noticed someone sleeping. That gray hair, is that Arcelego's sister? She looks uncomfortable sleeping like that. Suddenly, she accidentally bumped into a boy. Who are you? Her expression was filled with anxiety. The boy was Arcelego. Seeing this, Lord Aaron immediately stepped forward to protect her. Please step aside politely. This is Lady Sogren. However, Ariel quickly stopped him. Wait, she felt a surge of apprehension. Arcelego's left arm, is his left arm all right? Ariel quickly rushed over to check, grabbing his hand. Just a moment. Her actions startled him. It's still fixed. It seems all right. Ariel suddenly felt a rush of relief. Thank goodness. Was I too forward when we first met? No, I'm sorry. Please don't misunderstand. Just then, Lily came running over. My lady, the librarian is. She was surprised to see him there. Arcelego, you're resting here. Hello, Miss Belgreen. The noise accidentally woke Arcelego's sister. Lily was immediately surprised to see Kanya there as well. She introduced them. Don't you remember this young lady? Let me introduce who they are. This boy is Arcelago, and his sister is Kanya. These two are staying at the estate until they can take care of themselves. They're currently living in the servants' quarters. Ariel finally understood why they were here. Lily continued to introduce Ariel to them. This is Lady Ariel Sogren, the Duke's only daughter. She's also the one who saved you both that day. Understanding the whole story, Arcelago bowed respectfully. Please forgive my rudeness earlier. However, she immediately said, "It's all right. I was the one who approached you too suddenly. You two had just experienced a life-threatening situation, and I got too close. By the way, the librarian is in the library now. There are too many books, and I couldn't find what you needed on my own, so I'll have the library send the books about spirits to your room later." That's good. Let's go back now. But it seemed Arcelago had something to say to Ariel. They immediately stopped. He spoke with sincerity. "Thank you for saving us." Hearing this, she simply smiled faintly and quickly left. She was still thinking, I spoke to Arcelago earlier than in my past life. We only spoke once in my previous life. That day, Arcelago's sudden question, because I was so surprised, I answered casually. He actually said, "I'll wait for you." Really, why would Arcelago say something like that to me? I suppose I'll never know what happened to me on the other side when I went back in time. Arcelago mused, turning to his sister. "Well, Kanya, shall we head back now?" Kanya, however, was still brimming with excitement. "Lady Ariel is so pretty. She looks just like a doll, and she even looked at me." He ruffled her hair affectionately, a hint of concern in his voice. "I told you before, Kanya, not to trust people so easily. You never know what they're really like inside." But the child remained stubbornly optimistic. "I know, but you thought she was pretty too, didn't you, brother? She's different from the other nobles we've met. She's not arrogant, and she doesn't look down on us because we're beast folk." Arcelago seemed momentarily touched by Ariel's kindness, but quickly hardened his expression. "No, humans can't be trusted. I can't trust her just because she showed us a little kindness once. I won't make the same mistake again. In the end, all humans are the same." Back in Ariel's room, she was engrossed in her reading. So, forming a contract with a spirit usually requires 3 conditions. First, the human must sincerely desire to form a contract with the spirit. Second, the spirit must have strong feelings for the human, like Ruby, right here beside you. And lastly, the human must give the spirit a name. I think we unknowingly fulfilled all the conditions. I must have recovered so quickly this time because of Ruby. Lily, beside her, chirped excitedly. "Doesn't that mean you've formed a contract with 2 spirits now, miss?" "Miss, why don't you tell the Duke? I'm sure he'll be delighted." Ariel sat up abruptly. "Do you really think Father will be happy?" Urged on by Lily, she hurried to her father's room. Standing outside, she called out, "Father, are you there? I made a contract with a new spirit. It's a really cute cat spirit." But there was no response. "I guess spirits aren't important enough for Father." Lily offered gentle comfort. "That's strange. I was sure he'd rush out in surprise." Ariel hugged the cat tightly. "This makes me so sad." So even telling him good news can't move his heart. Then, her voice rising, she declared, "I hate Father. I'm going to be a bad girl. I'm going to eat only sweets all day, and I'm going to slide down the banister outside 200 times if he doesn't come out. And if he still doesn't come out after all that, then he's probably really asleep." Resigned, Lily steered her away. "Let's go for now, Mississippi. We can tell him another time." They bumped into Zelda. "May you be well," Zelda greeted. Ariel responded cheerfully. Now she only says, "Well, by the way, what are you doing here?" "Actually, I've finished the painting." This surprised Ariel. "You've finished it already, but it's only been 2 weeks since we made the agreement. So, I was wondering if you could come and see it." The title of the painting is Dawn and Sogren. Ariel was eager to see it. She's the best. "Wait, now's not the time to look at paintings. Lily, go tell Kian I have something to ask him." "All right, it's time to set the stage." The scene shifted to outside the city. "Billy, are you in there? Come out if you are." A grumpy voice complained. "Who's banging on the door this early in the morning?" He opened the door. "Who's making all this racket at the crack of dawn?" The sun's already halfway up the sky. A friend had come to inform him that one of Seldia's paintings was being exhibited at Libera. "Your apprentice, Seldia." Upon hearing this, Billy immediately took off running. Damn it, Seldia. First she runs away, and now she's exhibiting her paintings. While any artist can exhibit their work at Libera, how dare she exhibit without her master's permission? I can't forgive her. With so many people gathered here, what kind of painting is it? However, his expression suddenly changed. Such a stunning blue. What pigment did she use? Where's this beautiful landscape? Meanwhile, Lady Ariel was growing impatient. Kian, Hurry up. Read it quickly. What does the letter say? Kian informed her. As you predicted, many people are inquiring about the pigments and colors used in the painting. This immediately fueled her excitement. I knew it. Saldia caused a sensation right after the camp exhibition. People are asking who the painter is, what pigments were used, and what place is depicted in the painting. Everything is being discussed. It's a huge success. The publicity is going well, and now you just need to sell the pigments. Lady Ariel said earlier that we should give this pigment a name. It would be easier for people to remember if there were a symbolic word to represent it. So, I was wondering, could you perhaps think of a name for it? Celia stammered me. Is that truly all right? Quickly, Ariel reassured her. We can't make this pigment famous without your help. I truly wish for you to name it. This sent Celia into deep thought. Ariel thought to herself, perhaps in this moment, she would call it Ghost Blue like in her past life. Then Celia, too, made her decision. I want to call it Spirit Blue. Ariel Sogren thought, Spirit Blue, the blue of spirits. Spirits are much better than ghosts. She asked Kian, it's a good name, isn't it? Kian replied, yes, and it's quite strategic. Now we just need to decide on the location of the shop. It's just that we don't have enough funds to start on our own. Ariel Sogren turned around. Wait, Lily, you're from the West, right? Yes, how did you know? Ariel Sogren smiled. It's a memory from my past life. You told me last time. So, where exactly in the West is your hometown? Actually, my parents run a small art gallery in Campa. Ariel Sogren gasped. What? Why didn't you tell me before? Lily answered, I was worried it would influence your decision at Herwin's office. Kian declared, that makes absolutely no sense. That's how it happened, that's all. Kian thought to himself, good heavens, this lady is a problem whether she visits or not. Herwin, holding the papers, was shocked by the records of these days. Never mind. Kian asked, are you worried about the lady? Herwin hesitated. No, it's just that she used to insist on coming here every day, but recently she's been unusually quiet, that's all. Isn't she sick? Kian said, according to her personal guards, she spends most of her time in her room. I heard she's been frequenting the winter library lately. Kian responded, what has that visitor from Campa been doing these days? She's staying at an inn in the village, and aside from painting all day, there hasn't been any suspicious behavior. Herwin felt slightly relieved. Is there anything else I need to know? Kian continued his report. The district have been sending letters. They're all demanding you explain why this year's midwinter wasn't so severe. Currently, Herwin is postponing the answer by claiming illness, but Herwin can't hide the truth from them forever. As the midwinter shortened and the weather improved, more outsiders started pouring into Sogren. The world will find out about New Year's Eve sooner or later. The image of Sogren flashed through Herwin's mind. I'm certain the Emperor knows by now as well. Case and Willenniel and that person have always been keeping an eye on Sogren. At this moment, Herwin's heart pounded heavily. Kian worried about Herwin's health. Suddenly, Herwin coughed violently, coughing up blood. Kian quickly supported him, handing him a towel. As I thought, I don't think you should be taking the sedatives, sir. Herwin's blood-stained hand rested on Kian's shoulder. I need to spread a rumor that I'm on my deathbed. I need to make the Emperor believe I'm powerless, not worth his attention. It's the only way to protect New Year's Eve. Spread the rumors as quickly as possible. It's not a lie. After all, Keen replied. Understood. I'll instruct Zed to follow your orders. I'll go get Evan now. Watching the light filtering into the room, Herwin gazed at the doorframe. I truly don't have much time left. With the arrival of an uninvited guest, Rix and Ross announced, long time no see. Greetings, Mr. Ross. We've been expecting you. Rix and Ross watched Kian. It seems he's trying his best to appease me. He chuckled. It looks like they still can't get the money. I hear this winter hasn't been too harsh, thanks to the Duke's daughter. Her abilities are unexpected, but the Duke's health is critical, isn't it? The only thing of value Sogren has is the amount of where they can mine, but the Royal Palace has held most of the mining rights from the beginning. Rix and Ross laughed. If Sogren can't repay the debt, I'll cease all trade with them and take them to court. Keen opened the chest filled with money. We've added the interest to the 50,000 Velcom owed. Rix and Ross thought to himself, it'll take time to figure out how they earned this much money so quickly. Damn, I was hoping to seize some of their assets. After a quick glance, he thought, it seems they found a way to make money. Rix and Ross said amiably to Kian, I'm glad everything's settled. By the way, how is the Duke doing lately? I've heard he's quite frail, and I'm worried about him. I apologize, but I can't speak freely about personal matters concerning my superiors. Hearing this, Rix and Ross said, I understand. I hope he's all right. After Rix and Ross left, Kian went to Ariel Sogren's room. Excuse me, Mississippi. Komin, Kian, is the matter with the Ross company settled? Yes, we've repaid the money and the interest. Everything has been completely resolved. However, that man seems quite greedy and shrewd. It's best we keep our distance from him. This reminded Ariel of something. In my past life, that man was a merchant who supplied the royal palace, but his fraudulent accounting was discovered, and he was eventually beheaded. Why don't we do business with the Urine Company instead of the Ross Company? Although they're small now, I remember the owner being very business savvy. Suddenly, Lily burst into the room, a letter clutched in her hand, her face beaming. Miss, she exclaimed to Ariel, my parents sent a letter from Campa. Ariel asked curiously, what did they say? Lily replied, they said thanks to Spirit Blue, business is booming. They're incredibly grateful to you, miss. I'm truly happy. Seldia, seeing the blossoming smile on Ariel's face, thought I can't miss that smile. By the way, how is the recruitment of new servants progressing? We're reviewing everyone's background, but it's taking a long time because we're short-staffed here. He sighed. It seems Evan will be quite busy when summer arrives. There's a reason for all of this. Ariel was surprised. Huh? Is he saying Evan will be busy welcoming the new servants we're hiring? But he's not the type to enjoy the spotlight. Anyway, I'm thinking of starting a new business venture. Keen asked Ariel, what kind of business do you have in mind? I want to try cultivating lilac herb. Lilac herb? I've never heard of it. Ariel said, of course not. Right now, everyone just considers it a weed. But before long, lilac herb will become as rare and expensive as Spirit Blue. Soon, Reynold will be acquiring lilac herb in large quantities. Reynold is another prominent family in the Volatin Empire, the guardians of the Western Morning Star. The Reynold family owns the Magic Tower of Asperium, also known as the Twilight Tower. They enjoy immense wealth and prestige because of it. However, the Reynold heir is ill, and it's said he suffers greatly even from minor ailments. Soon, Vesperium Twilight Tower will develop a medicinal potion to cure the Duke's son's illness, and the main ingredient of this potion is lilac herb. Lilac herb grows better in cold environments. If we cultivate them in Sogren, I believe we can make a lot of money from it. Lily asked curiously, Miss, how did you know that? Winterbranch told me, of course, Ariel Sogren said with a smile. Kian, can you help me learn more about lilac herb? Kian replied, certainly. I'll research it with Evan. Miss, I have other work to do, so I'll be going now. Ariel Sogren said cheerfully, all right, safe travels, Kian. Speaking of which, Butterfly hasn't appeared before me since last time, and she hasn't spoken to me since I made a contract with Ruby. I need to ask about Father's condition. Butterfly will definitely come back, right? Suddenly, Zed shouted, I'm back. Zed's sudden appearance startled Ruby, and Ariel Sogren cried out in surprise. Seeing Lily greet him, Zed turned and asked, how have you been these days, Miss Lily? Ariel Sogren mused, look at him, always busy with other duties, and now he's finally back. I've never seen this cat before. Ariel Sogren continued, it looks like a cat, but it's actually a spirit. It's too small, I can't eat it. Ariel Sogren said, vexed, hey, don't underestimate Ruby. Although she looks like this, she's an amazing cat who saved my life. Suddenly Ruby jumped up. Ruby, where are you going? It seemed Ruby had spotted a mouse on the floor. Ariel Sogren called out, Ruby, sensing danger. The mouse desperately tried to escape. Zed waited eagerly for something. Ouch, that hurts. What are you doing? Ruby, calm down. A few days later, as my portrait was nearing completion, the lilac herb seeds were also ready. I was allowed to go out for the first time to search for a suitable place to plant the lilac herb. Lily suddenly stopped and said, Mississippium. What is it, Lily? I think you've grown taller. Are you sure I've grown taller? Lily was certain as she saw that Ariel Sogren's dress was shorter than usual. I have to tell Kian so we can buy you some new summer clothes. Ariel Sogren looked at her sleeves and said, the sleeves do feel a bit shorter. Ariel Sogren's eyes moistened. If I grow a little taller, I'll soon be able to open the door for Father myself. I've always been troubled because I can't reach the doorknob. Speaking of which, it's been a while since I've visited Father. I wonder if he's waiting for me today. Today, I'll find the best location to plant the lilac herb and then go see Father. Just then, all the Ronald hens arrived. Good morning, Mississippi, good morning. Please take care of me today as well. Did you bring that thing today? That cat has a very cute name. Ruby. Zed asked, Mouse, where are you? Where do you want to go? Ariel's Sogren peeked. Ruby transformed again. Does its appearance change with its mood? Ariel Sogren picked up Ruby and said, I don't think it speaks human language. Talking to Winterbranch is like talking to a wise old man. Suddenly Zed flinched. The startled Ruby really didn't like Zed. Zed frowned and shouted, That stupid hedgehog is teasing me again. Please surrender, Mr. Zed. 20 attempts have all failed. It's time to give up. Are you really going to be so heartless to me? Zed felt wronged, wiping his tears awkwardly. Nobody loves me. More and more tears flowed. Zed was very upset. Looking at Zed, Ariel Sogren couldn't help but laugh. Then let Ruby and Zed fight. Let's go. Everyone run. Zed shouted from behind, Miss. Be careful not to fall, Mississippi. As soon as the words left her mouth, Ariel Sogren tripped and fell forward. Fortunately, Arcellego caught her in time. Ariel Sogren blushed. Thank you. Are you all right? Mississippi Ariel Sogren gazed at Arcellego. Yes, I'm fine. Lily came running down, her voice laced with worry. Thank you for helping me up. Oh my goodness, miss, are you all right? I'm fine. Ariel Sogren reassured her. Arcellego caught me before I fell. Lily continued, a hint of admonishment in her tone. This is why I keep telling you not to run. Miss, Lily inquired, her curiosity piqued. Are those the purebloods? That gentleman is being scolded. The girl seems so young, but that boy Zed looks friendly. Arcellego observed them thoughtfully. Sharp senses, superior bone structure and balance. The speed of his reaction when he caught the lady and the agility in his every movement. He is indeed a pureblood. The speed with which he caught the lady and the agility he displayed. He is definitely a pureblood. I don't know if he aspires to knighthood, but I should inform the captain. Lily's voice sharpened with exasperation. If you run in the hallways again, I'm truly going to be upset. Ariel Sogren, seemingly oblivious to Lily's reprimand, turned to Arcellego and Kanya. Where are you two going? We're headed to the library, Kanya replied. We want to learn how to read. Where's the lady going? Arcellego asked. I'm going down to the village, Ariel Sogren answered. Kanya's face lit up at the mention of the village. The village. Arcellego and Kanya haven't had a chance to leave the estate yet, have you? Would you like to come along? Is that all right, Lily? Lily quickly responded, of course. The carriage is large enough for everyone. Kanya eagerly urged Arcellego to join them, but he hesitated. No, Kanya, remember we're going to the library. If we tag along, we'll surely bother the lady. We can go to the library another day, Kanya countered. The lady invited us. I don't mind. Arcellego, Ariel Sogren added. We won't be in the village for long, and you'll certainly have plenty of time to study in the library when we return. Arcellego relented, though his tone remained subdued. All right, if it won't be too much trouble. Kian has found a few potential farm locations, Ariel Sogren explained. We just need to inspect a few places. We'd like a spot close to the lake for easy access to water, but also with plenty of sunlight. We found one that meets both criteria and is close to the duchy, so we can check on it frequently. Let's head to the village now. There are so many people chatting here. We have some nice goods today, so take a look before you leave. I heard Sogren has become more famous since Celia's painting came out. Seems the rumors are true. I'm not sure if we'll be staying in Sogren for a while. Oh, how lovely. Yes, that's precisely my goal. First, we need to improve people's impression of our territory. Sogren has the worst weather in the entire empire. The ruler of Sogren is ill. To counter all the false assumptions and rumors about Sogren, I wonder how Seldia is doing in Campa. Seldia, after finishing my portrait, immediately returned to Campa. She said she couldn't postpone preparing for the exhibition and the subsequent requests any longer. You've never been to Campa, have you? Please come visit. I'll be waiting for you. Miss, she wants me to visit Campa. In my past life, I never had a reason to leave the house. I was forced to stay in an empty room, sitting like a doll, because no one knew when the Empress would have an episode and need soothing. I don't get out often, so I'm going to enjoy myself today. Where shall we go first? Ariel Sogren interjected. Wait, before we do anything, Kanya, if you don't mind, could we hold hands while we walk? Kanya looked surprised. Actually, I'm not very good with directions. I get lost often. I'd like you to help me. Would you be willing? Kanya is still really a child. We should be careful to make sure she doesn't get lost. I want to hold your hand. I'll help you. Mississippi Kanya looked thrilled. Ariel Sogren glanced at Arcellego. Is he wary? Arcellego, would you like to hold my hand? When Arcellego didn't answer, Ariel Sogren thought, I suppose not. But then, Arcellego nodded in agreement, and Ariel Sogren happily took both of their hands. Arcellego, Kenya, your hands are so warm. Holding hands with both of them, Ariel Sogren felt enveloped in a comforting warmth, like a cozy hearth. Wolves usually have high body temperatures. They also live in packs and are monogamous. Oh, I see. Zed, are you a wolf too? Is my lady finally interested in me? No, I was just wondering how you know so much. I apologize, my lady, but I am not a wolf. You'll have to keep guessing. And the way these merchants pretend not to notice us as we pass is so obvious. I wonder what's so interesting today. They keep glancing over here and then pretending nothing happened. But it doesn't matter because today, welcome to the antique furniture shop. The shopkeeper gasped, Miss Sogren, welcome. What kind of items are you looking for? Ariel Sogren smiled. I've always thought my father's room was a bit too bare. Let me show you our most prized pieces. Mississippi Miss, we have beautiful dolls here. Rain squares. We have delicious treats here. Please enjoy. Please come again. Mississippi safe travels. What happened to my stamina? That was a satisfying shopping trip. What do you think? Watching Kenya eat her ice cream, Ariel Sogren asked, Is it good, Kenya? She nodded in agreement. Seeing the ice cream smudged on Kanya's face, Ariel Sogren laughed. Ariel Sogren had a feeling that Ariel Sogren was planning something. Doesn't she avoid us because we're pure bloods? Perhaps she's used to it because she's often with beastmen. Even so, she can still sense the threatening aura we pure bloods exude. Humans fear us because we are different. The day a human threw a rock that split my forehead open, people feared us because we are different. All you have to do is be careful so they won't be afraid. I heeded my mother's words and avoided people's gazes. I would also hunch over to make myself appear smaller and hide my claws and fangs from view. I need to confirm this. It's really simple. I just need to release the energy I'm suppressing and look her straight in the eyes. Ariel Sogren curiously asked Arcelago how many outfits she has in Kenya. She has a lot to wear, Mississippi. Ariel Sogren continued. Actually, do you two need anything? Something we can buy. Why did I just avoid her gaze? I have no reason to. Why? Why can't I look her in the eyes? I don't feel embarrassed. This feeling is... Ariel Sogren kept staring intently at Al Sligo. Wait, what am I afraid of? Miss Sogren has a similar build to Kenya, and she's never done anything to make me think she's dangerous. So what am I afraid of? Al Sligo pondered seriously. What am I afraid of? Myself? Arcelago spoke up. I know what I'm afraid of. What is it? Is there something you want to ask me? I'm afraid she'll let go of my hand. Ariel Sogren couldn't understand why Arcelago felt that way. Arcelago's strange behavior made Ariel Sogren remember something. Oh, right. I promised him I'd go back early. Maybe he wants to go back, but can't order me to, so he feels uncomfortable. Ariel Sogren said to Zed, It looks like the sun is about to set. Let's go home. Zed immediately replied, Then I'll call for the carriage. We're back. Kenya sniffled. Goodbye, Mississippi. See you next time, Kenya, Arcelago. I had a lot of fun today. Arcelago took Kanya's hand. Let's go, Kenya. I want to tell Father everything I saw today. I wonder how Father's Day was. He might want to go out too after hearing that we went to the bustling market. Are those Kian and Evan? Where are they going at this hour? She gasped. Could it be? Damn it, we were too relaxed. His lordship got some sun and exercise, so we let our guard down, even though we knew another attack could happen at any time. Kian. Evan chased after Kian. Did you bring the medicine? He pulled out a vial. Yes, but there isn't much left. How long will it last? Kian sighed. 6 months at most, but he's developing a resistance. The effects are weakening. Honestly, I doubt anything will work on the Lord anymore. Did any servants come? Kian shook his head. I told them to stay away. Where did the lady go? A voice called out to Kian. She went to the village today. Kian spun around. My lady, did you have a safe trip? Is father unwell? There was no point in lying now. Kian answered immediately. Yes, I want to go in too. No, she cried. Why not? Ariel demanded. It's too dangerous. You'll only disturb us. Please return to your room. Miss Belgreen is here as well. Please escort the lady back. Belgreen responded, yes, of course. Let's go back to your room, my lady. Belgreen gently urged. No, I want to be with my father. She's gone. Don't blame me if the lady hates you for this, Kian muttered. Be prepared. It's chaotic inside. This won't be easy. Is it always like this? Evan asked. Yes. Go and catch that stray dog. Finally, Belgreen led Ariel Sogren back to her room. Look, I should have brought her some sweets, Ariel Sogren said, hugging Lily. I want cream tea, Lily said, gazing up at Ariel Sogren. Kriam, dea. You want something sweet? I'll go prepare some right away. Lily left Ariel Sogren in the room and hurried off to make the tea. Ariel Sogren siged. Father took care of me when I was sick, but I can't do anything for him. Ruby, the cat spirit, came running over, rubbing against Ariel's leg. Ariel Sogren stroked Ruby's head. Are you worried about me? Speaking of which, is Father's affliction truly caused by a nervous disorder? Though he doesn't seem like it, Evan is the most skilled physician in Sogren. Still, I keep thinking about what the butterfly told me. I wish I could talk to the butterfly again. Ruby stood up and stretched languidly. Ruby, what is it? Long time no see. Little butterfly, Ruby purred. Ariel spoke to the butterfly. Where have you been? Your little friend didn't seem to like me afterward. That young man was... It bothered me for a long time. This means it's not that you don't appear, but that Ruby is preventing you from appearing. That's strange. Why would Ruby do that? Perhaps because I caused you physical pain. Ruby was truly worried about you. Wasn't she? I have something I want to ask you. I know. That's why I appeared before you in the first place. First, you know that mages need to open a door to use magic, right? Even if you can't feel it. But think about what happens when you close that door. If that happens, the magic power inside the body begins to accumulate and fester. Once it's damaged to a certain extent, the body can't withstand it and eventually explodes. That's why a mage closing their door is equivalent to death. Ariel Sogren's eyes widened in horror as she saw something. Damn it, didn't I say not to let anyone in? She rushed back to where her father was restrained on the bed. Kian, grab him. Evan, this is terrible. His magic is about to erupt. Butterfly, you said the accumulated magic power inside the body is the problem, right? This is so frustrating. If I use the Winter Branch, I can release some of Father's magic. I just need to draw out some of his magic, like soothing the winter. His magic is too sharp. What's wrong? I feel like I'll be torn to shreds if I get any closer. A breach, that's right. You can lower his defenses, break down the barriers in his heart, so the roots of the Winter Branch can penetrate more easily. How do I do that? I don't need to overthink this. Ariel Sogren ran back and embraced her father. Father, it's me. What can I do to end this suffering? If I kill someone, this pain will disappear. Herwin encountered his mother in the garden. He sat beside his mother, then lay his head in her lap, lost in thought. What was I just thinking? Herwin, why would you kill me? I love you so much. Herwin recoiled in fear. This is all your fault, Herwin. You have so much magic, but you don't know how to control it. Herwin stammered, no, I don't. Look behind you. Can you still say that? The estate is being consumed by flames. Herwin was at a loss. This truly wasn't me. He dared to plot against the queen. Now he can never enter the royal palace. No, these are all lies. Mother, did I hurt you? This doesn't make sense. Father, please get rid of it. Please stop, even if it's just for me. Yes, I should stop. I can't let Ariel Sogren get hurt. Seeing her father close his eyes, Ariel Sogren thought he had fallen asleep. I can't delay any longer. When I opened the door the first time, I felt something. Thinking back to then, that's it. This is Malcut. The first door was Father's door. If this is Father's door, Ariel Sogren picked up a twig and struck the door. Now let it take root. Imagine you are stealing energy from this door. Let the roots spread, the branches sprout and grow leaves, until the flowers on the branches bear ripe fruit. Ariel Sogren closed her eyes tightly. Placing her hand on the door, it opened automatically. She cried out in surprise. The small twig has now become a giant ancient tree. I knew staying by your side was the right decision. Ariel Sogren shed tears. I think I understand why Father is hiding from me now. Why he sent me away in my past life. Why he never asked about me. Father was afraid of hurting me. Now I will protect Father. I will make sure Father is never hurt again. Suddenly, a pain shot through Ariel Sogren's chest. I must have absorbed too much magic at once. Perhaps I'll be incapacitated for a while. Miss, you're awake. Ariel Sogren opened her eyes and saw Kian and Evan beside her. We'll take you back to your room now. Ariel Sogren spoke softly. Kian, wait. Let's talk when we get back to my room. Ariel Sogren disagreed, insistent on speaking now. No, there's something I need to tell you right now. Kian rushed forward and picked up Ariel. With a worried expression, he asked urgently, you almost died just now. Seeing Kian's reaction, Ariel realized he was angry because he was worried about her being hurt. Kian continued, this won't do. I have to tell the Duke. I'm sorry for worrying you, but I had a very good reason for doing this. Ariel comforted him. Just listen to me. A clear sadness washed over Kian's face as he stammered. What do you want to say? Mississippi, Ariel replied softly. I think I can cure Father's illness. Kian was astonished. What do you mean? Suddenly, Evan appeared abruptly and asked, why has his condition suddenly stabilized? Kian immediately turned to Ariel. What did you do this time? Ariel stammered shyly. I'll try to explain. So, could you put me down first? This is as troublesome as crackling fire. Just then, a maid rushed in frantically. Oh dear, I feel the chill again. Miss Ariel suddenly began to tremble, her face alarmingly pale. Kian immediately wrapped her in a thick blanket and said to Belgreen, could you bring some warm water? The maid replied instantly, oh, of course, I'll be right back. Kian pulled a wooden chair to Ariel's bedside. He sat down and asked bluntly, tell me how you stabilized His Grace's condition. Ariel, her eyes brimming with tears, replied, okay. Kian pressed for specifics. So you used the winter branch to forcibly regulate His Grace's magic. Are you going to continue doing that? Ariel responded instantly. Of course. I know it's crazy, but it actually worked. Kian thought to himself, just as she said, His Grace was more stable now than he had been in a long time. Ariel offered a shy smile. So I want to keep doing this from now on. Kian shook his head. No, His Grace would never allow it. Ariel countered fiercely, holding her ground. But I've already been permitted to use the winter branch, which means I can use it as I please, right? She pleaded, help me, Kian. I want to spend more time with my father. Kian feigned indifference. But you're trembling now. How can I let someone who's suffering continue to use the winter branch? Ariel said dejectedly, it's only temporary. I'll be fine soon. Kian rubbed his temples, exasperated by the stubbornness of both father and daughter. I know, he said firmly. Why are you smiling? Ariel's smile wavered. I'm just surprised you'd worry about me. At her words, Kian fell silent, unsure how to respond. Then he spoke frankly. You act as if I've never cared about anything you've done, my lady. He sighed, trying to compose himself. So that's how she saw him, he realized. She respected his work, what he did, but didn't expect any warmth or kindness from him as a person. Suddenly, Kian knelt. Ariel asked, startled, what are you doing, Kian? He kept his head bowed. It means that protecting your safety is also one of my duties. Ariel thought to herself, amused, he's so adorably awkward when he tells me to be careful. Then, sincerely, she said, thank you, Kian. The scene shifted to the next morning. The early dawn was filled with birdsong as Herwin slowly opened his eyes after a long sleep. Evan immediately approached. Are you awake, sir? Herwin sat up, a strange feeling washing over him. Odd. My body feels much lighter than before. Did you change the medicine? Evan's face paled. He stammered. You must be imagining things, sir. Herwin stared blankly ahead, confused. Then, he tried to recall. Speaking of which, I think I heard Ariel's voice yesterday. Please take it away. Ariel had rushed in to stop him. The memory puzzled him. He asked Evan urgently, did Ariel come to my room? Evan smiled. No, my lady went to town yesterday and returned quite late. Herwin was surprised. Really? That's good. Evan managed a strained smile, guilt gnawing at him. I'm very sorry, sir. It turned out that since last night, Ariel had been very explicit with Evan. You must keep my visit to my father's room a secret. You tricked me last time, so you owe me this, Evan. Evan was terrified. He stammered, I can't, my lady. I'm required to remain silent. What else can I do? Ariel was resolute. The fact is, you lied to a naive 5-year-old. Giving me false hope is also a form of torture, you know. I truly hope father would recover soon. As a physician, don't you feel any sense of responsibility or guilt? Lying to a child. Evan sputtered. That's not fair. Even now, Evan felt she was far too clever to be called a naive 5-year-old. But the fact is, I did lie to her. Then, as a physician, Evan carefully reminded her, I believe you already know, but the sedative we're using can only last for half a year at most. Herwin then wondered, and after that, Evan explained that even the strongest medicine could become poison. I don't want to give you that choice. Have you tried? Herwin asked sadly, recalling, are you talking about opening your door for me? I've tried hundreds, no, thousands of times, but I still can't do it. In truth, Herwin's heart was filled with fear, terrified that the disaster from 10 years ago would repeat itself. If I hurt Eve, seeing his continued distress, Evan requested to take his leave. Please rest for a while. I'll excuse myself, he said before departing. Eva added her own plea. Please don't overexert yourself, sir. You really don't have much time left. Suddenly, Herwin cried out in surprise, oh, what's this? Ariel walked in, her innocence radiating as she chirped, good morning, father. Evan was utterly taken aback. My lady, you can't just barge in like this. As Evan continued to fuss, Ariel, with a saintly smile, promptly dismissed him. Goodbye, Evan. The other servants, witnessing Evan's ejection, chuckled and teased. How can my lady do that? Goodness, Mr. Evan, are you all right? A flicker of worry crossed Herwin's mind. She didn't hear what we were just talking about, did she? He then asked Ariel, "Why are you here?" Ariel quickly explained, "I came today because—" Her face bloomed with a radiant smile. "I wanted to show you the village." Herwin was puzzled. "Show me the village." "We went to the village the other day and saw so many interesting things." Ariel's excitement bubbled over. "I wish you could have come too, but since you couldn't, I drew pictures of all the places we went so I could show you." Ariel used her drawings to narrate the whole story. "First, we met Arceligo and Kanya. You must remember them, right? They're the children I saved." Herwin chuckled. "They're clearly purebred wolf beasts." "Storytelling, huh?" He mused. "Why does it feel like our roles have been reversed? I feel like my paternal dignity is slowly disappearing, but I feel so tired and weary." Ariel diligently continued her tale. "First, we went to a furniture shop." Suddenly, she stared blankly at Herwin, realizing he had drifted off to sleep. Ariel tiptoed softly to where her father slept. Gazing at his slumbering face, she thought, "Father is always secretly doing something, isn't he? It's because Father won't let me do it. I can't believe I finally figured out how to cure Father's illness. I'll be able to stop our terrible future from becoming reality." Ariel began to feel for her father's pulse, reminding herself, "I need to calm down. I just need to do it like last time. I need to close my eyes and concentrate on the feeling." But Ariel suddenly realized, why isn't it working? After struggling and failing, Ariel slumped down, defeated. She murmured, "Why isn't it working?" She lay listlessly on the bed. As she grappled with her confusion, Jed and Lily were also present. Jed whispered to Lily, "What's wrong with my lady?" Lily sighed in response. "I don't know either." She speculated, "Maybe it's because the Duke is ill and my lady is very upset." Then Lily suggested, "I think my lady needs a change of pace to cheer up." Jed suddenly had an idea. "Should we play cards with her?" Lily shook her head. "No, I don't think that's a good idea." Jed persisted, "I think you're dismissing it too quickly." The two continued their hushed discussion. Watching their ongoing debate, Ariel sat up quietly, thinking, "I'm so disappointed. I finally found a way to cure Father's illness, but I can't do anything. I couldn't see the door yesterday, which probably means the wall Father built is strong. I was only able to get so close the first time because he was really sick then. He was really weak then. The butterfly told me I needed to lower his guard. Does that mean I have to do it while Father is awake? But how can I lower his guard when he's awake?" Suddenly, Kanya called out, "Hello, my lady." Startled by the voice, Ariel turned to see who had arrived. She was delighted to discover that Kanya and Arceligo had come as well. "How did these two get here?" Jed explained, "We realized my lady needed some companions to talk to, and we thought she would be more comfortable with people her own age." "I see," Ariel said. "They must be worried because I haven't been doing anything all day." Then, with a bright smile, she asked, "But haven't we just returned from the village? Are you sure this won't interfere with your studies?" Arceligo spoke earnestly. "My lady, you saved my sisters and my life." At this, Ariel's eyes softened. "I understand," she murmured, wondering if they had come out of a sense of obligation for her having saved them. Jed made a decision. "Then let's go to the winter library. Actually, I've been practicing my writing lately." Lily readily and cheerfully agreed. "Okay." They made their way to the library where the children studied. Kanya glanced at Ariel and noticed that my lady's expression was troubled. Indeed, Ariel was listlessly flipping through a book, a melancholic air about her, clearly not engaged with what she was doing. Kanya, who had been watching my lady, thought, "She makes me so happy." Then, suddenly, Kanya lunged forward and clasped Ariel's hand tightly, stopping her from turning any more pages. "There's nothing here," Kanya exclaimed. Kanya continued chanting, as if casting a spell on Ariel. "Worries disappear." Ariel, her face still blank with confusion, asked, "What was that just now?" Kanya quickly explained, "That was a wish-granting spell. My lady, open your hand, draw a circle, and then say your wish 3 times. Kanya remained resolute, sincerely believing in the spell's efficacy. "My lady, before we came to this estate, she wished for us to arrive safely." Touched by Kanya's earnest concern for her, a warmth spread through Ariel, and she couldn't help but smile. "Thank you, Kanya," Ariel said cheerfully. "I think all my worries have disappeared." A light of pure innocence shone in Ariel's eyes as she asked, "Right." Seeing the change in her demeanor, Ariel went to visit her father again. Herwin was surprised to learn that Kanya was visiting. Kian also confirmed this. Herwin asked Ariel, "Did you open the door for her?" Kian immediately responded, "Not I, sir." Then, with a chuckle, Kian added, I simply forgot to close the door. Herwin exclaimed in surprise. What? He found it hard to believe that Kian could forget something. Kian continued, my apologies, sir. I've been rather preoccupied lately and haven't been paying attention. However, I still have some urgent documents to attend to, so I'll take my leave. Then, to Herwin's astonishment, Kian quickly slipped away. Wait, Ariel simply looked at her father, a cheerful smile playing on her lips. Herwin sighed. I don't know why, but he seems determined to side with Ariel now. Ariel spoke up for Kian. Please don't blame Kian. I came today because I have something important to tell you. Herwin sighed again and asked, what is it? Ariel stepped closer and whispered in her father's ear, look. Then, the girl embraced her father, grinning broadly. Ariel stepped closer and whispered in her father's ear, look. Then, the girl embraced her father, grinning broadly. Now's my chance. Herwin still didn't understand. Ariel, what are you doing? Ariel unexpectedly kissed her father on the cheek. Please let her guard down, father, she said. A look of dawning comprehension crossed Herwin's face. This is a familiar feeling. I can sense the winter branch absorbing magic. Ariel smiled. All right, that's enough. Then, father and daughter shared a warm gaze. Herwin, still puzzled, hesitantly began to question Ariel. What was that? Ariel asked, laughing brightly. My important work is done. With that, the girl slipped away, leaving Herwin bewildered. Before disappearing completely, Ariel turned back, flashing a radiant smile. I'm off now. See you later, father. Herwin, left alone, still puzzled over what important work she could have possibly meant. He settled back against the pillows, a sigh escaping his lips. What to do, he wondered. Yes, our daughter is truly adorable. The scene shifts to summer, when the clover seeds we sowed begin to sprout. Seldia, now a recognized artist, was to hold a solo exhibition in the capital city of Albion. Ariel, having received the invitation, opened it with a delighted gasp. A solo exhibition already. She must be quite famous now. I can't believe how famous she's become, Lily remarked. But then, just look at the number of tourists visiting Sogren these days. Ariel pulled something from her pocket, and since we're attracting so many tourists, she said, it's time to show the world this. It was a necklace, the pendant shimmering with an ethereal light. I tried putting some of the elven blue pigment into a glass pendant, she explained. Lily's eyes widened. It's beautiful, my lady, she breathed. Do you think it will sell well? Ariel asked. Sell it? Lily asked, bewildered. Yes, Ariel replied quickly. I thought it would be wonderful if the tourists who come here could buy souvenirs. In truth, she had already calculated that the necklaces would be inexpensive to produce, given their abundant supply of elven blue pigment. Selling the necklaces, she reasoned, would certainly boost their finances. The scene changes. Just as she predicted, the lucky fairy necklaces were a resounding success. To further strengthen Sogren, Ariel began preparations with her current aide, Kian. Oh, have you contacted the urine company, as we discussed? She asked. Kian nodded. Yes. As soon as we mentioned wanting to collaborate, they responded. They seem very eager to work with us. However, he added, a touch of curiosity in his voice. Why potatoes for your next venture? After the success of the blue pigment, Ariel offered a practical explanation. Because we need to be able to grow our own food in Sogren. The first step in strengthening our territory is to address the food shortage. After the war, our soil isn't suitable for farming, and the heavy snow makes land transportation difficult. I'm certain that the urine company made its name after starting their modified potato business. These potatoes are said to be able to withstand cold weather after numerous magical experiments. However, when they actually succeeded in growing these potatoes in the north, people began scrambling to acquire them for their own cultivation. That's why I want to invest in them first. Suddenly, a gentleman approached. Greetings, my lady. I am Timinal Urine, owner of the urine company. Kian politely introduced himself. I am Kian Latcher, the deputy of this territory and aide to the Duke of Sogren. Kian produced a stack of documents. Please take your time to review these, he said to Timinal. All that's required is your signature. Timinal, though only skimming the papers, couldn't contain his curiosity. Are you truly going to invest in our potatoes? But are you truly all right with this? You don't even want to inspect the potatoes themselves. Kian asked, a hint of suspicion in his voice. Are you perhaps lying about them being modified? Timinal abruptly stood, his voice rising in indignant defense. No, absolutely not. Seeing his reaction, Kian burst out laughing. I'm just surprised you're willing to sign the contract without asking us any questions. The person I serve instructed me not to ask any questions and just invest. Tears welled in Timonel's eyes. Touched, he thought. Until now, no one has believed in me. He quickly signed the contract, tears welling in his eyes. Timonel Urin declared with heartfelt gratitude, "Thank you for your trust. We will certainly repay you." After all, business is all about trust. The scene shifted. Kian returned to Ariel. As soon as he opened the door, the lady greeted him. "Welcome back. How did it go?" Ariel inquired. Kian recounted the events with a cheerful air. First, they'll be sending 30 bags of seed potatoes within the next few days. Once the greenhouse is complete, we can begin planting. This will solve our food shortage problem. Ariel laughed, her face alight with joy. "Wonderful. Well done." Noticing the stack of strange documents spread across the table that Ariel was perusing, Kian asked, "What are you looking at, my lady?" Ariel replied, "I'm considering raising white musk oxen." Kian was taken aback. "Musk oxen? We don't have much pasture land. It could be quite difficult, and they'll need a warm place during the winter." Ariel explained, "It's all right. We can use clover. Most of the clover's nutrients are stored in the roots, so the oxen can eat the stems and leaves." Understanding dawned on Kian. "I see. You intend to dry and store them, to use as a substitute for hay." Ariel told him, "You don't need to worry about the raising of them." She had, in fact, been considering this for quite some time. "I know these things because I made some acquaintances while I was attending the Queen. I suppose there are some advantages to having spent time at the palace." Kian, understanding the request clearly, responded swiftly, "Understood. I'll look into it for you, my lady." Before he could leave, Ariel suddenly remembered something. "Wait, Kian, I have something for you. I need you to excavate thoroughly in these areas I've circled." Kian's surprise was evident. "Is there something there?" "It appears they're magic stones." His expression turned serious. "Magic stones? Are you certain, my lady?" Ariel had known in advance, so his surprise wasn't unexpected. Due to the powerful energy emanating from the barrier, magic stone mines had never been discovered in the north. Magic stones were the most precious type of ore, as they contained magical power that could be used for many purposes. Heat stones could replace furnaces, cold stones could be used to preserve food, and light stones could be used in place of candles or lamps. Looking at a small butterfly, Ariel thought with a smile, "If it weren't for the current situation, I would go and mine them immediately." "All right, but make sure it's done discreetly." Kian promised solemnly, "Of course. After all, we can't let the royal palace seize the magic stones." He then quickly departed to carry out his task. "Then I'll take my leave, my lady." Ariel thought to herself, "That boy is excited, right? If you want to know anything else, feel free to ask. I've been here a long time. There's nothing I don't know. I'm truly grateful you told me about the location of the magic stones. Oh, I don't know how to repay you." This was the butterfly speaking. "Nothing you give me would be of much use to me, so consider it a gift to a young friend who has entered into a contract with me. After all, it's been a long time since I've met someone like you." The butterfly said, "Thank you." The scene changed. Ariel summarized the work of the past week, thinking to herself, "I've used all my information and knowledge to take care of Sogren. Thanks to this, we've recorded the largest capital surplus in history for the first half of the year. We used this money to renovate the Sogren estate, and as a result, we've become increasingly prosperous. Thanks to this, rumors have begun to spread throughout the country." The scene shifted again. Herwin's condition was still worsening. He called for Kian, who immediately attended him. He brought Herwin a tray of delicious food. Herwin, surprised, remarked, "This food seems different from what I usually receive." Kian replied, "To me, it looks like ordinary food." Herwin inquired, "Is Ariel using magic now?" Herwin was also worried. Alex was just an ordinary cook, not a mage, and Sogren didn't have the ingredients to make such dishes. So how did these meals end up in front of him? Herwin looked around the room, and Ariel, mustering her courage, also seemed puzzled by the furniture. Before, it had been brought in one or two pieces at a time, secretly. Now it filled the entire room. Kian explained, "Isn't it lovely? Your room is much brighter than before." "My lord, didn't you say not long ago that you wanted all the furniture removed in case you had another episode?" Herwin clenched his fists, thinking irritably, something is definitely wrong here. Kian Latcher looked flustered, and then Herwin commanded, "Kian, bring me all of Sogren's financial records immediately." He sighed. "It seems I can't delay any longer. I should have stopped my lady from buying all this furniture. I'll go get them right away, my lord." Herwin flipped through the ledgers. Kian stood beside him, reminding him, "My lord, please let me know if you find anything amiss." After reading a few pages, Herwin felt a wave of apprehension. How had Sogren's finances grown so much, and when? A stroke of good fortune could shift the balance of power, and the Emperor wouldn't stand idly by and let these changes happen. It was impossible for Kian not to have noticed this immediately. Herwin angrily asked Kian, "If you're hiding something from me, I want you to tell me right now." Kian replied, bewildered, "I'm not hiding anything from you, my lord." But Herwin remained deeply suspicious. There had to be a reason for Kian's change in demeanor. Suddenly, he remembered something from a few days prior. Herwin asked Kian, "Did you open the door for her?" Kian shook his head. "No, my lord. I simply forgot to lock it." Ariel spoke up for Kian. "Please don't blame Kian. I came here today because..." Herwin sensed something was amiss. He quickly asked Kian, "This doesn't have anything to do with Ariel, does it?" Suddenly, soap bubbles floated in the air. Herwin wondered where they were coming from. It turned out Ariel had slipped into the room unnoticed. Herwin asked, "What are you doing there?" Ariel replied, cheerfully, "I'm playing with bubbles." Suddenly, she began to cough violently. A flurry of questions raced through Herwin's mind. Why would I think Ariel had anything to do with the territory's surplus? She's only 5 years old. Kian hurriedly asked Ariel, "My lady, where did you get these?" Ariel said, "We bought them when we went to the village last time." Kian, "Do you want to try?" Herwin observed the girl, thinking, "Yes, I'm certain she and Kian have grown closer, as they often come to my room." Kian, relieved, said to Ariel, "Thanks to you, I've avoided an interrogation." Suddenly, Ariel remembered something and exclaimed in a panic, "Oh no, these are lilies. I have to go. Goodbye, father. I'll be back soon." When Ariel left, Herwin said to Kian, "I need to find a tutor for her as soon as possible." Kian asked, puzzled, "Is it to prevent her from visiting you so often, my lord?" Herwin considered the worst-case scenario. "After all, I won't be around forever." Kian continued, "But your episodes have become less frequent, haven't they?" Herwin disagreed. "That's precisely why I'm more worried. Also, please send that letter out as soon as possible." Kian picked up the letter, still curious. "Who is this addressed to?" Suddenly, his eyes widened in surprise. "Is that person coming here?" Long ago, there were 4 mage towers in the northern continent of Arde, 2 of which were within the Veloitan Empire. An Inoxium mage tower in the north was the center of the Mage Association, its pinnacle reserved for the Archmage. The Noxium Archmage, Schwar was lying down, enjoying his time, when suddenly a subordinate rushed in and said, "My lord, oh no." Schwara immediately flew into a rage, jumping up and shouting, "What is it, you frivolous whelp? What are you trying to do?" A subordinate, breathless, reported, "Forgive me, there's a letter from Sogren." A mate cried out, "What? Why report such a bothersome thing?" The staff member hesitantly replied, "But it bears the white seal." At this, Schwara angrily snatched the letter. "What? How dare they disturb this old man?" But it was true. Schwara's hand trembled as he held the letter. Truly that foolish, sickly. He hurried to change his clothes. The subordinate asked, "Are you going to Sogren?" Schwara, with no time for pleasantries, snapped, "Of course I am." The staff member continued, "But you never even face Sogren when you sleep." The mage raged, "Do you really think I'm going to keep vigil over that idiot's corpse? Of course I'm going to drag him out of his coffin." The scene shifts to the empty house after Schwara's departure, the staff left behind. The scene shifts to Ariel's home. Kian informed the young lady, "Your magic tutor will arrive shortly." Mississippi hearing this, Ariel immediately displayed a look of displeasure. Kian understood her expression instantly. Clearly, she wasn't pleased. Then Ariel protested, "Father's being too obvious. He wants to keep me too busy to visit him. I need to take care of him, so he gets better." Kian said, "So this is actually a good thing. Once you're more proficient with Winterbranch, the Lord will recover faster. Though we don't know if that person will agree to the request." Ariel asked curiously, "Who did you ask?" "We asked Master Sigmund." "Sigmund is..." Suddenly, Jed came to report, "Mr. Kian, there's a strange old man outside." It turned out to be Schwara, causing a commotion, yelling incessantly, "Kian is a liar." Jed was doing his best to restrain him. When Kian came out to meet him, Schwara stated bluntly, "You dare deceive me." Kian feigned surprise. "You've arrived earlier than expected, Master Sigmund." The mage scoffed, "Your head is still filled with petty tricks. Hasn't changed a bit." Ariel thought to herself, "A peeping Tom, oh my. I remember who he is now. He's the Archmage of Noxium, known for his eccentric personality, husband of Mayor Sigmund of Ices." Then Ariel shyly greeted, "Hello, sir." Ariel thought to herself, "I remember who he is now. He's the Archmage of Noxium, known for his eccentric personality, husband of Mayor Sigmund of Ices." Then, shyly, Ariel said, "Hello, Grandpa." "Oh, Grandpa." Kian immediately stood up and said, I apologize, Archmage. But he seemed to genuinely enjoy being called Grandpa, saying, You can call me Grandpa. Ariel happily replied, Okay, Grandpa. But inwardly, Shwara thought, Damn it, this is why I didn't want to come here. Then he went inside and said to Kian, I'll be back after I see your master. Upon entering to see Herwin, he immediately berated him. You bastard. Herwin replied with a smile. It's been a while, Master Sigmund. Shwara angrily retorted, I don't want to see your face. Stuff it into a pillow or something. I can't breathe if I read the letter. Then die, you monster. You can still smile while lying in bed so weak. Herwin told him, Put that aside for now. Have you met Ariel? Shwara turned his face away, saying, I have, damn it. How can she resemble Leah so much? Herwin said, Actually, Ariel opened the first gate immediately. The mage exclaimed, Isn't she only 4 years old? No, 5. Herwin calmly stated, Yes, I believe she definitely has magical talent. I would like to request you to take her as your apprentice, Master Sigmund. Sigmund fell silent, his eyes gleaming. The mage slowly explained to Herwin, Are you unaware that archmages are forbidden from interfering in worldly affairs? I know you're not one to follow the rules. Your mouth is quite nimble now. Herwin calmly replied, I know I'm shameless, but Ariel is your only granddaughter, isn't she? The atmosphere in the room grew heavier, the silence pressing down on them. Sigmund turned his face away, his voice low. Do you know what it means for me to take her in? Herwin answered, Of course. He nodded, leaving it at that. Sigmund understood his meaning. Fine, he said frankly, but don't come crying to me later. Lady Sigmund returned to the living room. Sigmund crossed his arms, lost in thought, while Ariel sat innocently nearby. He looked down at the table, his gaze sweeping over the room. Refreshments were neatly arranged on the reception table. I heard they were short on funds, he murmured, his eyes flickering. It seems things have turned around. The maid, pleased by his compliment, said, I'll take my leave now. Please enjoy your conversation. Sigmund stroked his beard calmly and addressed Ariel. You probably already know, but my name is Sigmund Roldan. In the Valoitan Empire, upon marriage, one takes the surname of the higher-ranking individual, regardless of gender. Ariel smiled brightly. It's a pleasure to meet you like this, grandfather, she said. Suddenly, Ruby, a cat, approached the lavishly set table, startling the mage. It turned out the cat was after the cake in Ariel's hand. Flustered, she soothed the animal. Ruby, behave yourself. This is an important person. Kian asked her, Do you want to know why Mr. Sigmund dislikes the Duke? Mr. Sigmund vehemently opposed the Duke and Duchess's marriage, which strained his relationship with Lady Isis. Kian, recalling the past, explained, It seems that's why he still dislikes the Duke, even now. Ariel felt a pang of unease. I think he likes me because I was born from a marriage he strongly opposed, she said, a hint of doubt in her voice. She stroked Ruby, trying to find comfort as she spoke directly to her grandfather, Sigmund. But you need to learn to control your behavior, Sigmund advised her. That's the only way your father can be cured quickly. He added, That's no ordinary cat. Ariel immediately protested, insisting it was a guardian spirit. Its name is Ruby, she said. The mage took out his wand, as if to examine something. Close your eyes, he instructed. To himself, the mage thought, I wonder if that scoundrel was deceiving me. But she did open the first gate. Opening the first gate at the age of 5. If I had taken her in earlier, she might have shown her abilities sooner. You can open your eyes now. I suppose it's still a good time. She's quite gifted. If I teach her, her talent will surely shine quickly. After a long pause, Ariel asked, Is it over? All right, he said. How long will it take you to pack your things? The mage said cheerfully, Of course, we're going to the mage tower. Ariel looked blank, clearly confused. He continued, Didn't Herwin tell you that you're going to the mage tower to learn magic? Ariel's jaw dropped in surprise. What? Really? She exclaimed, thrilled. The prospect of leaving the estate filled her with joy. The mage, pleased, thought to himself, My goodness, she's this excited about it. I suppose anyone would be ecstatic to hear they're going to be the direct disciple of an archmage. Aloud, he said, I know your ailing father couldn't take proper care of you, but now you only need to rely on your grandfather. Touched by his words, Ariel fought back tears. Grandfather, She choked out, "Is father abandoning me?" She sobbed in her teddy bear all evening, Lily gently comforting her. "Oh, miss." Ariel's eyes were red and swollen from crying. "I kissed his cheek every day," she sobbed. Lily burst out, "That's right. The Duke really went too far this time. He should have asked you first." Ariel realized, "I know, but father didn't ask me. I hate everyone," she cried. "I'm running away." Mage Quinter, still reeling from the scene, muttered, "Herwin, you heartless bastard. Why didn't you ask her? Look at the mess you've made now. This isn't the time for this." This hesitation. "Do you even know what my granddaughter likes?" The guard replied, I'm not entirely sure, but she's about the same age as my son." The scene shifts to Schwara's office in Noxium, where a purple crystal ball pulsates with light. A subordinate calls out in a flustered voice, "Archmage, is that you?" Schwara replies, "Indeed it is. How are you faring?" The staff member beams, eager to show off his accomplishments. "Of course it's me. I had to work with 20 senior researchers just to get a moment with you, not to mention caring for the 300 different plants you're cultivating." Pleased, Schwara responds, "Enough? I'll give you some time off later, so make something for me." "Anything." The staff member asks, surprised, What would you like me to make?" Schwara says, "A toy." The staff member, confused, "You mean something children play with?" Seeing his slow understanding, Schwara's temper flares. "Yes, you imbecile. Don't be stingy with the expense. Make something spectacular for me. Craft a super special, one-of-a-kind magical toy and bring it here." The subordinate grumbles under his breath. A multitude of gift boxes, large and small, are laid out before Ariel. The little girl looks puzzled. "What's all this?" "What do you mean?" "They're toys for you, of course." Sigmund picks one up at random. "This teddy bear dances when you press its nose. This jewelry box plays music when you open it. And this snow globe glows when you touch it." A thought crosses Ariel's mind. They all look very special, but I don't really care much for toys. However, out of politeness, she thanks Sigmund. From beside her, Lily whispers, Miss, you have the best grandfather ever." It turns out Lily has been relaying messages to Ariel. Hearing this, Ariel exclaims loudly, "You're the best grandfather ever. I've never seen toys like these." Sigmund, somewhat elated, asks, "Do you like them?" "Yes, I love them." Sigmund coughs a few times, shifting the subject, his voice turning serious. "Of course you do. After all, these toys all contain magic stones." "Magic stones? Aren't those very expensive?" Lily chuckles softly. "While they are precious, your grandfather is the Archmage. He can get as many as he wants." Holding the teddy bear, a thought strikes Ariel. Maybe after the magic stone mine is built, I should open a toy shop. Because they have magic stones inside, the toys will definitely fetch a high price. The nobles living in the capital love to show off, so I think they'll definitely buy these toys. It seems I'll have to ask Kian to add this to our business plan. Sigmund asks softly, "So you're not sad anymore?" "Of course not. Thanks to grandfather, I feel much better now." Tears well up in Sigmund's eyes. How could she be so adorable? He recalls his cold indifference towards his pregnant daughter. "Won't father even come to see me after I've given birth? If I hadn't walked away so coldly back then, if I had said some kind words to her, would things have been different?" Ariel, noticing his distress, asks, "It's nothing," Sigmund replies, then adds, "So, do you agree to go to the Mage Tower with grandfather now?" "No, I don't." This answer shatters Sigmund's hopes. He awkwardly changes the subject, muttering to himself, "Yes, this girl is Lee's daughter. Stubborn, just like her mother. You really don't want to go." "No, I don't." Sigmund's temper flares again. "Why won't you become my apprentice?" Ariel states clearly, "First, I need to make sure the potatoes are growing well. We also need to move the medicinal herbs to the Twilight Tower. And I need to make sure our musk ox barn is being built properly. I need to cure father's illness." "Cure father's illness? What are you talking about?" Ariel realizes she's let something slip, but there's no helping it now. She begins to explain. Sigmund listens, saying, "Grandfather won't scold you. Tell grandfather everything." "So that's father's secret. I understand. Tell me, how do you plan to cure your father?" Ariel replied, "The guardian spirit of the Winter Branch told me about father's condition. So when father was in pain, I used the Winter Branch to remove some of the magic from behind his door." Sigmund's expression turned to alarm. "Heavens, you've seen that door before." "Yes, I shouldn't have done that." "No, that's not the issue. It's just that most people can't do that. The concept of the door is just an abstract idea created by mages. Even I, having opened 9 doors, have never seen a door manifest physically." Sigmund stares stared at the child before him, his mind awash with incredulous thoughts. What kind of being resided within this small child? Do you still insist on not going to the mage tower with grandfather? Receiving no answer, Sigmund promptly stood. All right, I understand. I'll be right back. Walking down the hallway, the Count muttered to himself, after sleeping for 4 days straight, I feel much better. Just then, a messenger bird flew past. Why is that old man writing to me? Perhaps he truly feels sorry and even wrote me a letter himself. This thing is the Archmage's resignation letter. I haven't even submitted my resignation yet. The Count seemed astonished. Meanwhile, Sigmund realized Ariel had misunderstood something. He thought, grandfather has been here for a while now. She's assuming that when he becomes a figure like the Archmage, he can take as much time off as he wants. Sigmund waited a long moment before speaking. All right, have you reviewed everything? Yes. How many doors are there in this world? You told me there were 10. How many doors can humans open? Because Shea is just outside that door. After the previous conversation, Sigmund nodded repeatedly. Good, you've memorized the theory perfectly. So let's start practicing now. Ariel asked her grandfather, Grandfather, are you going to teach me how to use magic? Of course, I can't let anyone else teach my granddaughter magic. You don't have to go to the mage tower. I'll teach you right here. Ariel was overjoyed. She smiled gently and said, I'll work hard. Thank you, grandfather. In the days that followed, grandfather stayed at Ariel's mansion, teaching her how to use magic. As Ariel's magical abilities improved, the chill she felt when using the winter branch became less severe. Everything was going smoothly for her. She also heard that Winterdale had finally started looking to buy sedge, so a letter was sent to Twilight Tower. Consequently, Kian and Ariel gradually began to expand their business. Lily secretly observed her little mistress talking with Kian from a corner of the room. Lily suddenly grew worried. She shouldn't be working so hard. Recalling earlier times, every morning Lily would wake Ariel up. Miss, it's time to get up. Ariel would wake up groggily. Did I drool? She tentatively touched the liquid flowing from her nose, but it was blood, not the drool she had expected. Lily immediately panicked. Oh dear. Mississippi. Both of her nostrils were bleeding. The maid hurriedly asked Ariel, what time did you go to bed last night? I went to bed at 10. You really went to bed at 10. Your dark circles are almost down to your chin. Ariel became flustered. I'm telling the truth. Anyway, I'm hungry now. I need to get dressed quickly and go eat breakfast. Lily sighed. Are you changing the subject, Mississippi? But if I want to cure father as soon as possible, I have to work this hard. This can't go on. Lily frowned at Ariel. Today, I'm going to teach you how to play like a child. Mississippi, play like a child. Lily said, after playing with friends your own age, I'm sure you'll be able to sleep well. Ariel looked apprehensive about this. She stammered, but I don't have any friends my own age. The maid smiled. Don't worry, Mississippi. You make some good friends soon. A short while later, several young girls from the neighborhood arrived at the mansion, but Ariel was shy during the introductions. It's a pleasure to meet you all. Hello, Mississippi. This is Hilda Warbine, Velko Warbine's niece. And this is Nellie Montz, daughter of Baron Montz. The last one offered a simple hello. Mississippi Ariel couldn't understand why she had to meet these girls twice a month. Though she appeared to be only 5 years old, her mind was already 14. Sighing inwardly, Ariel had to find a way to console herself. This is a new experience for me. In my past life, I didn't have friends to play with. In truth, for children of noble families, making friends was merely a form of transaction. The more playmates one had, the higher their family standing. Considering some of these girls are from other territories, I could take it to mean that Sogren's standing has risen, right? Lily urged Ariel to hurry and join her new friends. Little Hilda gently asked Ariel, Miss, that doll is amazing, isn't it? Indeed, the clever girl had recognized that the teddy bear moved with the help of a magic stone. The other little girls gasped when they saw it. Ariel brought the doll over to her friends, introducing it as she did. Their reactions to the toy made her think, no matter what, children are still children. You can all play with it if you like. Hilda was astonished. Really? Yes, of course. Ariel also offered another teddy bear to Nellie, but the girls seemed less bold. Would you like to play too? I suppose I could look at it for a while. Nellie accepted the teddy bear from Ariel. Even little Kanya was offered one, but she refused. I want to stay by your side, miss. Kanya's particular attachment made Ariel curious. Is she shy? Well, do what makes you comfortable, Kanya. After a while, Ariel felt a wave of tiredness. I suddenly feel a little sleepy. I really haven't been getting enough sleep these days. The news of the Sogren family's young miss-seeking playmates had a greater impact than Ariel had initially imagined. Of course, with Sogren having recently amassed a considerable fortune, the nobles of the north north wanted to see if the rumors were true. Nellie glanced towards the doorway, a sudden thought striking the little girl. Her ladyship is waiting in the room. Why did father make me come to the Sovereign estate? An only child raised under the tutelage of a sickly father, with no governess. I bet she's nothing special. It was a pleasure meeting you, Miss Montez. Her ladyship is absolutely beautiful, and she has such a spacious room and a luxurious bed. She even has toys I've never seen before. Watching Ariel doze off, Nellie couldn't believe she was actually falling asleep, as if bored by all the finery surrounding her. Nellie didn't even have one such toy. Jealousy pricked at Nellie. She already has so many dolls. She surely wouldn't mind if one went missing. The little girl glanced at her other companions. Beside her, Kenya spoke to Nellie from distance. That's wrong. Nellie jumped. What? Kenya spoke slowly. My miss cannot be friends with bad people. Nellie knew Kenya had seen her shameful contemplation. The little girl flushed. Are you lecturing me? She then lunged at Kenya, grabbing her hair. The commotion unexpectedly woke the sleeping Ariel. What's happening? As Ariel tried to make sense of the situation, the sight of the two little girls in a messy tussle filled her vision. Ariel immediately intervened. Both of you stop. Why are you fighting? Nellie cried out. That lowborn girl was trying to steal Ariel's toy. No, I wasn't. Kenya replied tearfully. Whenever something goes missing, if even Miss doesn't believe me. Kenya trembled all over. I really didn't. Ariel already knew the truth. She immediately went to comfort Kenya, saying, she's right. Kenya would never do such a thing. Nellie, now the culprit, jumped up. What? How did you know, Mississippi? I bought Kenya lots of toys. Miss Montz, may I see what you have hidden in your inner pocket? Nellie reacted immediately. Are you saying I'm a thief? I was just holding this toy. Then you should have said so from the beginning. Why make Kenya look like a thief? It's not right to blame others, though. Nellie, fearing reprimand, looked terrified. Ariel declared, Miss Montz, you needn't come to the Sovereign estate again. Nellie retreated to a nearby dark corner, frozen in place. Hildetta gently approached Ariel and asked, Miss, are you all right? I'm fine, but I'm worried about Kenya. Are you hurt? Hildetta stared at Ariel. At first, I thought your grandfather was making me do something unpleasant again, but Miss Sovereign let me play with her dolls, and when her friend are treated unfairly, she stands up for them. Hildetta firmly grasped Ariel's hand. I want to be your friend forever, Mississippi. The situation was a little awkward. Ariel, unsure of what to do, wanted to say something, but couldn't find the words. Kenya also rushed over and hugged Ariel. Me too. I want to be your friend too, Mississippi. A question surfaced in her mind. Why were they acting like this? Catching Lily's eye, Ariel pleaded, help me, Lily. The scene shifted to Baron Montz's mansion. Nellie, having returned, tattled to the Baron. So the Sovereigns really have become wealthy, haven't they? Yes, and their miss made a fool of me. We're at the point where we might be forced to lose our remaining assets, but the Sovereigns are living well. The Montz family had profited from selling food to the Sovereigns at high prices, but recently the Sovereigns had reduced the supplies they purchased. A thought struck Baron Montz. It's hard enough dealing with this, and now they've made my daughter cry. A sinister smile crept across his face. Suddenly, a large fire erupted somewhere in the city, smoke and flames consuming the area. People scattered like bees. Sigmund, witnessing everything through the window, thought to himself, it seems these people have emerged because they believe the Duke is dead. It seems that white-sealed letter you sent me has become the source of your troubles. A figure holding a magic staff appeared beneath the city walls. The figure pointed the staff towards the ground, creating a powerful barrier. The looting was instantly swept away, leaving no trace behind. Well, I hope you fools at least picked out your graves. Ariel, noticing the commotion, asked, Butterfly, what's happening? I want to see what's happening in the village. May I? Your request is granted, but it will make you dizzy. Is that all right? Ariel, disregarding this, urged Butterfly on. It immediately flew to the scene of the looting below. Villagers were subdued, and the robbers were demanding everyone hand over everything. Ariel, understanding the situation, felt a surge of sympathy. No way, what are bandits doing here? I know a powerful bandit guild's headquarters is near Sogren, but they've never encroached on our territory. Butterfly spoke. The more Erlil has, the more those who envy and desire to seize it will appear. Are you saying this is happening because Sogren has become wealthy? Indeed, but this might also be a ploy to draw your attention to the village. I'm certain the bandits will come here soon. You should reinforce the mansion's defenses as much as possible. Amidst the chaos, Jed and Lily appeared. Miss, please come with us. We need to move to the basement now. The hallway was filled with the sound of Jed's panting breaths. Ariel anxiously asked him about her father. He's with Kian and Mr. Evan, so don't worry. Kian is the assistant, and Evan is the doctor, right? Okay, Jed thought to himself. It seems she doesn't know that Kian and Mr. Evan are actually members of the guard, though both are adults. Ariel, unsatisfied, said, "It's still dangerous. The person in the most danger right now is you, miss, so please don't argue." As they walked down the hallway, the three were drawn by the sound of a child crying from downstairs. Ariel recognized the little girl as Kanya. Not long ago, Kanya had been carried on her older brother's back as they fled a fire. She'd asked him vaguely, "Brother, where are we going?" Her brother hadn't answered, just silently observed the situation, troubled. The village was on fire. Where could they go? They shouldn't leave. But after a moment, her brother thought of someone to turn to. Perhaps it would be better to seek help here. In the dark alleyway, the two walked with uncertain steps. Who could they ask for help? My sister and I are beast folk. Who would help us? Her brother immediately ran off, trying to comfort Kanya. Do you remember how to play hide and seek? Terrified, the little girl kept shaking her head. No, hide and seek is scary. You just need to be patient for a little while. It will be over soon. Her brother hid Kanya in a nearby bush. He instructed, "Hide here and wait for me. I'll be right back. I need to find something to use as a weapon." With that, he left. Overcome with fear, Kanya hiccuped. When Mother died, strangers came into the house, and my brother and I played hide and seek too. It's the same as then. What if those scary people take me away? Lost in her anxious thoughts, Kanya was startled by a strange sound. Thinking it was her brother returning, she hurriedly stood up and called out, "Brother." Unexpectedly, it was notorious thieves, and they recognized Kanya as beast folk. The inheritance is protected by magic. We can't steal anything valuable. This one can fetch a good price. The thieves grew bolder, grabbing her despite the little girl's cries. Help! Back in the present, Ariel cried out Kanya's name, summoning her butterflies to assist. The butterflies obeyed instantly, rushing towards the thieves and separating them from Kanya before they understood what was happening. Her brother had returned, running frantically towards Kanya. "Are you all right? Are you hurt?" "I'm okay," the little girl sobbed. Upstairs, Ariel said to Jed, "Quick, go down to the basement. Jed, we have to protect these two." Jed and Lily were slightly surprised, but obeyed. The three hurried towards the siblings, the brother utterly astonished. "Miss, she saved us again." The brother immediately replied, "Yes, we're both fine, thank you. Let's go inside. It's still dangerous out here," Ariel said. Jed let Lily carry the still frightened Kanya. He didn't notice that the thieves had drawn their swords, just as they were about to attack. Jed noticed, and the two charged at each other like madmen. "Jed," Ariel cried out in despair. The fight continued, even fiercer than before. Jed cursed, venting his anger. "Because the miss and the children are watching, I can't kill him. Looks like I'll have to knock him unconscious." Just as he raised his sword, Jed heard Ariel scream from behind him. He hadn't realized their accomplices had subdued Lily and the others. Then he threw out a strange light, and the entire village was enveloped by it. Jed's vision was obscured, and he could only shout Ariel's name. By the time the light faded, the bandits and Ariel had vanished. Jed ran to Lily in a daze. How could this happen? Kanya also recognized her brother, Erisigo, being taken away with the bandits. Where they were being held, the thieves were furious. "Damn it, we didn't get any reports that they had a mage." Meanwhile, Erisigo, down below, stabbed a sharp object into the thief's leg. In pain and rage, the thief kicked him aside. "You bastard!" Her brother crashed heavily to the ground, the loud thud startling Ariel. The thief grabbed Erisigo. "As a bonus, we really are out of luck." Then he threw both of them into the dungeon. "Behave yourselves, you brats." In the dungeon's gloom, Erisigo lay unconscious. Ariel rushed to the young boy's side. "Are you all right?" The boy blinked. "I thought you had fainted, Mississippi." "It's because we would have been hurt if we tried to resist." Erisigo winced, pressing a hand to his side. "Are you all right? Is that where he hit you before?" "I feel terrible. You came here with me and got hurt." Erisigo insisted it wasn't Ariel's fault. At that moment, he recalled, "The only thought in my head was that I had to do it." Ariel took the boy's hand. Still, thank you for helping me. Don't worry, I'll protect you. Ariel's optimism puzzled Arisigo. How can she still smile in a situation like this? He wondered. It's strange no matter how you think about it. Bandits attacked the village. I'm guessing the information was leaked when we were trying to hire new people to work at our estate. I should interrogate all the employees when I get back. Ariel examined the cell. I can also wait for Baramanga to be rescued. Arisigo stared, even more surprised. Ariel told him to cover his ears for a moment, and then a butterfly appeared. Ariel's cry echoed through the cell. Help! It quickly attracted a guard. Why are you kids making so much noise? As he entered, Arisigo shielded Ariel. She confronted the guard. Why are you doing this? The guard sneered. Your father is greedy and hated by many around here. My father is hated by everyone. That's right. We received a request to steal all the food being transported to Sogren. I see. So, someone specifically asked you to target Sogren. By the way, is this your headquarters? The guard froze for a few seconds. The little girl before him was smiling like it was harvest time. So all I have to do is destroy this place. The butterfly's light flared, and the guard stiffened. By the time he realized it, he was completely frozen. Ariel walked out of the dungeon. It's so cold, but it's really refreshing, don't you think, Arisigo? As Ariel looked around the headquarters, she found a commission letter. She wondered who had asked them to do such a thing. I didn't expect it to be Baramont's. Now I have proof. I'll expose him as soon as I get home. Arisigo asked Ariel, Miss, where are we going now? If we hide nearby, someone will come and rescue us soon, right? There might still be bad people lurking around, but they won't be able to find us unless we tell them where we are. As if on cue, the butterfly was summoned. Ariel asked, can you tell everyone in Sogren where we are? It said it wasn't sure if the two of them could hold out that long. Just then, the cat hidden in Ariel's clothes reacted strongly. A second later, a familiar owl appeared in its place. She spoke to the owl. Do you remember the old man you met before? Can you go find him? The owl nodded, flapping its wings. Then it soared into the sky. Ariel sighed in relief. It's so good to have Ruby. Yes, it is. But Arisigo's attention was on Ariel. She had been trembling ever since the butterfly appeared. A strange thought occurred to him. Can I hug you? Mississippi Ariel, assuming he was also cold, echoed the question, making the boy blush. No, but I think it might help you, since I naturally have a higher body temperature. That reminds me of when Jed told me that wolves are naturally warm. Ariel then asked Arisigo, is your face red because of your own body temperature? Are you alright? Yes. If that's the case, Mississippi. According to my memory, Arisigo doesn't like humans, or am I remembering wrong? Thank you very much. In a nearby mansion, Sigman's shouts echoed. Who was kidnapped? Was it my granddaughter who was kidnapped? You were supposed to be watching her. How could you let this happen? Jed and Lily, faces etched with remorse, stammered, we're so sorry, Master Sigmund. It's all our fault. Sigmund inwardly cursed, realizing his initial protective barrier had been too narrowly cast. The Noxum Magic Tower, though a private organization, operated under the watchful eye of the Magic Association. The Imperial Magic Palace kept a close, and often suspicious, vigil on the tower and its enigmatic leader, Sigmund. Every spell cast outside the tower's walls could be twisted into evidence against him, painted as a threat to the palace. Especially here, in Sogren. He deliberately limited the scope of his magic to avoid future repercussions. A grave miscalculation. Sigmund's fingers clenched around his collar. Where did the intruder go? He demanded of Jed. If you mean the Duke, he's in his chambers, sir, came the reply. The news only fueled Sigmund's simmering rage. The Duke, oblivious to the chaos, remained sequestered in his room. Ariel should have retreated to the basement by now. If things had calmed, she could escape through the hidden passage. But a knot of unease tightened in Sigmund's chest. Certainty was a luxury he couldn't afford. He was about to dispatch Kian to check on her when the Duke appeared, drawing Sigmund's ire. You useless fool. You're less helpful than a stone. He roared. The Duke, bewildered and clearly unaware of the previous night's events, could only stare. One of the intruders, Sigmund seethed, possessed a teleportation device. He vanished after entering the estate last night. You imbecile. Do you have any idea what your daughter has sacrificed for you? Have you ever wondered why your magical episodes have lessened? Ariel has been silently, tirelessly, purging the excess magic accumulating within you. If my granddaughter dies, it won't be the kidnappers who killed her. It will be you. Your incompetence, your weakness, will be her downfall. Just then, an owl appeared, its presence a stark interruption. Sigmund recognized it instantly. The owl rapped insistently against the window pane with its talons. Sigmund barked orders at Kian to prepare a horse immediately. Herwin, meanwhile, was consumed by guilt. Lord Sigmund is right, he murmured. I couldn't protect anything. Kian approached cautiously. Benefactor, are you all right? Herwin choked out a response. Do as Lord Sigmund says, Kian. Find Ariel. Hurry now. Hurry. Kian hesitated for a moment, then rushed off. I'll fetch Evan, Herwin added, before retreating to the solitude of the balcony. He gazed towards the mountains, his thoughts a turbulent storm. Meanwhile, Ivriel and Erisigo huddled together beneath a makeshift blanket. Miss, are you all right? Erisigo asked. Yes, I'm fine, Ariel replied. But, Jed was right. You really are like a little furnace. Don't you find me repulsive? Miss, Ariel's expression froze. No, why would you think that? Erisigo remained silent, but his thoughts betrayed him, because everyone else does. Seeing his reluctance to answer, Ariel continued gently. If I had to choose sides, I'd say I like you. You're Kanye's kind brother, so don't think such things, all right? And smile. I wouldn't dislike someone kind for no reason. Yes, Mississippi. When dawn broke, Ariel awoke in the familiar comfort of her own bed. What? I don't remember coming back to my room. Sigmund had been watching over her as she slept. Relief washed over Ariel at the sight of him. Sigmund, however, didn't appear pleased. He stroked the cat perched on his knee. Thanks to this little fellow, I was able to find you. That aside, you've been asleep for a whole day. It seems you've overexerted yourself again, haven't you? A whole day. The memory of Erisigo flooded back. What about Erisigo? Ariel asked urgently. The boy has returned home with his sister. We apprehended all the intruders and threw them in the dungeon. It seems they didn't manage to penetrate the inner estate. That's a relief. Father would have been in danger if they had. The thought sent a fresh wave of anxiety through Ariel, and she cried out again. This reminds me, Ariel began, a flicker of concern in her eyes. How is Father? Sigmund's face hardened. Don't mention that man in my presence. As far as I'm concerned, he no longer exists. Seeing Ariel scrambling out of bed, Sigmund demanded, Where are you going? I'm going to see Father, she declared. And with that, she ran from the room, her footsteps light against the stone floor. Reaching Herwin's door, she knocked softly. Is Father still asleep? She wondered aloud. The door swung open abruptly, revealing Herwin standing in the doorway. Ariel noticed the strain etched on her father's face. Herwin glanced at his daughter, then quickly looked away, his gaze unfocused. He clenched his jaw, a muscle twitching in his cheek. But the tension broke almost instantly, and he reached out, pulling Ariel into a tight embrace. Thank you, he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. Thank you for coming back safely.